evening. Happy Friday, everybody. So I am joined by somebody. Just want to make sure we were good to go. You good? Awesome. Good evening, Bobby. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I find that the theme of today was slow but quick. Like the week was kind of slow leading up to Friday, but today I found that time has gone quick. It was one of those things where I was having dinner and I was looking at the clock. I was like, oh, shoot, how much time do we have before we get started here? What the heck? I was finalizing the last couple of things, and it was going kind of quick. So, good evening, everybody. Hopefully, your week has gone all right. Quickly grab a couple of the comments here. Giamaz was here. Had the comment early. This was like 8:15, so it was well over an hour before that. So, hopefully the volume's okay. Hopefully it's going all right. So, good evening, Brian. Appreciate it. Appreciate the new moniker. As if my ego needs more monikers. Really.
Yes.
Yeah. Like we haven't done enough. We haven't done enough. So, good evening, Jeff. Good evening, Ozzy Card Dad. Appreciate you all joining in. So, no, things have been going pretty well. It's been, like I said, it's been one of those weeks where there's been some work, there's been some busyness, but at the same time, things have been going. I will say, though, hobby-wise, it's been kind of quiet. That was kind of one of the big kind of takeaways that I had from this week. I was looking and it's like, oh, let's see. Had the NFT thing, made a video on that, so talked about that a little bit. And that'll be an open conversation if any of you guys would like to talk about that. There isn't a lot to say on it. But if there is something you'd like to discuss, by all means, let us know and we can definitely chat about it a bit. So good evening, MSC. Good evening, Yannick. But yeah, good week card wise though. I will say good week for the collection. I did finish sorting out a couple of things. I met one of my year goals. Took care of that and ended up doing that in the video and recorded actually the video this afternoon. So this day was going quick because I was like, okay, let me get this done. The video is over 31 minutes. So it's a good size video. Got it uploaded. It's on YouTube. It's ready to go. 10 a.m. Saturday morning, it will suddenly magically appear on the channel. So it will be there. So we'll have that. But outside of that, general hobby-wise, not a lot. I know you were still working on your book a little bit, making some progress. So I think that's kind of an ongoing thing with you.
Yeah, that never ends. I did have a good business week. I bought a lot of great stuff, sold a lot of great stuff. So
I did see, wasn't there like a soup thing with Boreas Salming or something? Was it?
yeah, you did. Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
have those right here.
I caught. I don't scan Facebook a lot, but it's one of those things. Occasionally, I'll scan by and I notice that because I know we got the food issues, right? And then you got, I think, like what, soup boxes basically, like
Yeah,
chicken
Lipton
soup
soup.
boxes.
Yeah, chicken soup boxes. In 1974, Lipton Soup put out
Right,
a set of 50 different cards, and there was two
right.
cards on the back of each box.
Okay.
And some players got two cards. Like Bobby Orr would have. Bobby Orr would have. There we go. A little different. Two different cards where he's with Daryl Sittler and I think it's Ed Jockman or someone. And Boreas Salming, they spelled his name wrong.
Okay.
It's Borja. It's Bjore, and it should be Borje.
Okay.
So they corrected halfway through, and it's card number 41. But they made two different cards of 41 that year. So realistically, these are four short prints that are most cards got one print run, where these four got divided into the whole year. So very hard to find. Very hard to find.
Okay. That sounds good. It's always interesting when you get those weird little variations because food issues tend to have that. That tends to be a thing where you'll come up with these weird variants, and then when you've got the pairs, that I mentioned that I think last week or the week before, because they had the thing with the stickers in baseball where you'd have the pairings, and sometimes you'd have multiple pairings, or occasionally you'd have multiple photos, but usually it was multiple pairings, and they would mix them up a little bit. So it just depends a little bit.
And then I had my dealings with the post office where I bought something. It's 3 hours away from a small little auction house, and it was a very expensive item and a very rare item too. So it's on its way. It finally shows it's an express post, so it should have really been 2 days, but they don't guarantee anything with COVID. So understood.
Yes.
So I waited about 2 days, and it was in Mississauga.
Mm-hmm.
Next day, it's in Scarborough, and then it's out to me,
Mm-hmm.
usually in about that same day. Well, it went back to Mississauga because there was an error.
Uh-huh.
So then it took another 2 days, and then it came back to Scarborough, and it was out for delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And then it said error, another processing error. And we have no idea. So I called in, got a ticket. Anyways, I finally got it today. And most people haven't seen this because there's maybe four known kind of surprised, but it's a wrapper from 1967.
Okay, so there's a rapper from 1967. Okay.
Yeah. So, rappers are very collectible. This rapper is the year after Bobby Orr. So Bobby Orr rappers, there's probably about three or 400 of them out there. Where this has maybe four. Why? We don't know. It's called happenstance. Sometimes they just come up and sometimes they just don't. And this one hasn't come up I think the last time one came up was 2009 publicly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very rare, very nice wrapper, and glad to have it. And I sweated it out for a week and a half on an express post from 3 hours away.
Nice. Well, I do find the mail is very spotty and hit and miss, and sometimes though it doesn't make a lot of sense. One of the fun things for me has been whenever anything is coming cross country, for whatever reason, BC, they'll send me stuff, and it's from sellers that I've dealt with before. So like I don't worry about it. If you've dealt with a seller enough times, you're like, nope, I know you shipped it out, so I'm not worried about it. But sometimes it takes weeks, like weeks and weeks. And I got one from BC today in today's mail. It was included in the video and everything, but it was a nice card. I was waiting on it. And I was like, oh, sweet, fantastic. But yeah, it looked like it took 2 weeks, and the stamp was right on it from Canada Post. I'm like, why does it take you 2 weeks? Are you walking it over? Like, what are you guys doing? We have planes now.
Funny thing in the U.S., you can ship something out from California to Michigan, and it's 2 days.
Yeah,
almost all the time. Maybe 3. If it's Florida, it's always a little bit longer, but they can ship it anywhere in the U.S. in 2 to 3 days. And Canada, always from BC, even Saskatchewan, Manitoba, it's a minimum 5 days, business days. And the first day you drop it off doesn't count. So,
Yes.
Then you get a couple weekends in there, and it seems like it's been months, but really it's only been because, delayed gratification in the hobby is a hard thing to to have. So it always seems a little bit longer. And I find BC is the worst. Newfoundland's a long time too.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think what's fun for me is well, this is where if you have the ability, because if I buy from an American seller, what's going to happen is I will have it shipped to the Arizona address for ship my cards, because I have an account with them. So I just say, send it there. And then a lot of times it's within a couple of days, boom, delivered. And I'm like, great, somebody can receive it. I get it. And then it's all put together, and I go, okay, send me one shipment.
So isn't that a service?
It is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically they gave an address out in Arizona.
Nice.
You can get one in Portland if you want to try to save the taxes, but then it gets forwarded over. It can be helpful, like depending on the item. If it's a more expensive item, you can save. I haven't tried to use the Portland option. It is available though. It is a couple extra dollars, but like for example, an item I bought today was a couple $100. So the taxes, even with Arizona taxes, is like $26. So if I had sent it to Oregon, it would have been $0. But then it would have been a couple of dollars for them to forward it over from Oregon to Arizona.
So you use the international shipping program, or
no? If I do it for inside the States, it's inside the States. It's whatever shipping they put on it. So in this case, even though it was a $280 purchase, the shipping was like $4. So
yeah, I know.
So all in all, by comparison, if I had sent it over to Canada, I still save a ton of money. So even getting a third party to ship it to me after the fact and paying taxes and doing all that, I still save money. And even though like when it crosses the border, I'll still have to pay customs. But since I'm paying customs on the whole package, it's like, relatively speaking, it's actually a savings.
Well, see, I don't get charged the tax because I'm a Canadian buyer, but I have a U.S. address. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to pay the state tax, mm-hmm. because I can't pay the state tax because I'm not a U.S. Citizen. So everything I ship over to my friend, he ships it back to me. No duty, no nothing. So,
well, if you get your friend to ship it to you, yes, but they would like to have their business remain legitimate, so they actually do have to mark something.
I understand that.
Yeah, they
will. Suggestion for the audience.
Yeah, they will accommodate you to a certain degree, but yes, if you have the best is always if you have someone in the States who can do you the favor. I use the service just because I don't feel like asking to impose. If it was a really important card, I might be like, hey, could you do me a favor on this specific item? Because that way I know where it went. I know where it arrives. What I will say though that they do well, and I did a review on my channel about them, is they will take it out of the package and they will scan it for you. So you can actually make sure that what you got is what you were supposed to get. So for the fee they charge, I'm reasonably happy, and it can sit there as long as you want until you're ready to ship it. So I'm like, fair enough.
M-
I can work with that.
MSC lost 2 packages this month. Wow.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate
Someone
because
else lost one from the US just recently, my friend, and I went, hmm.
it can definitely happen. But it's one of those that you just have to imagine the logistics of it, right? It's not like one or two packages. It's millions of packages constantly, and especially now because we're shipping a lot of stuff, right?
Hmm.
Anything that's delivery or whatever can be messed up. There's a million ways things can go wrong. Even if you're trying to do a good job, you can still screw up. And sometimes some people don't care. Sometimes they don't try as hard. That's why when
Hmm.
I do ship something out and I want to make sure it gets shipped out, when I go to the post office, I usually will time it because I know when the postal carrier comes by with the truck.
Mm.
So what'll
Oh,
happen
me
is,
too. Yeah.
so I will come by at that time, and then when I get tracking, especially, and I will be there, and they'll just stand there while they put it on the basket, and then the guy will literally take it out to the truck and scan it, and I'm like, good,
Thank you.
yeah. I just want to make sure. I want to be like, I saw it get scanned, we're good to go.
My guy comes at 2 and 5. So,
Yeah, yeah. So as long as if you kind of know the schedule, it does help a little bit.
mhm.
It's just timing. And usually it works out because it's after work, so that's not too bad. It's not too bad. But anyway, so one thing we'll talk about here, guys. This is what I'll throw out at you. I'm kind of open to topics because, like I said, we can talk a little bit about the Topps NFT thing if you'd like. If not, then we can ignore it. I'm good with that too. Like I said, I do have a little video talk giving some initial thoughts about it. Um, but it is going to be an ongoing thing. I think it's one of those things where we're not going to resolve anything right now. We can at least start talking about it if you wish, but it will not be it will not be the last. We're going to see more of these types of products as they test the market. One thing that I thought was good, and I'll recommend it to you guys if you're interested in the topic. Cardi C, who I linked in the original video to it, did a part two, and in the part two, he went over the Topps' presentation when they were discussing the merger. And in the presentation, they did a breakdown of their business because Topps was private until this deal went through. So they had the information, we did not. And they actually broke down their business based on the different areas. Confectionaries, if memory serves me from the presentation, still comprises about 35% of their business.
Hmm.
So it's like the Bazooka Joe gum and the
Sure.
various other products they have. It's still 35% of the business. Still a pretty good sizable chunk. Sports cards, I think, were about 55%. Digital products are about 6%.
Hmm.
I'm going from memory, but there's a couple of different products. Oh, and they do gift cards as well, but that's a very nominal. It's like 3 or 4%. It's very small. But it is nice to be able to see the breakdown, and because I think a lot of people just think it's only cards. It's like, nope, cards is the majority, but not like a massive majority. That's why long term, one thing I'll throw out at folks is that as time goes by, their goal is to raise that percentage, the digital, while reducing the physical. Because if it starts to if it starts to balance and shift a little bit, what's going to happen at some point is, and this is a conversation I had with a couple of folks offline. If Topps had their way, they would stop making physical cards today. Like in all honesty, it's more expensive. There's overhead costs related to it, and hiring some folks to create some designs and making the digital copy is easier for them. It's better. They eliminate the middleman. They don't need distributors. They don't need dealers. They don't need any of it. And they can pretty much make all the money themselves. And then anything that happens in the secondary market, that's not their problem. But that's not going to happen today, tomorrow, or a month from now, or a year from now. It's going to take a long time, most likely. And right now, it's still currently experimental. So everything they're doing is an experiment to see what they can get away with and how well that market reacts. So good evening, Sanderson Door.
I was looking for I have a 91 Tops financial report.
Yep.
Shareholders kind of thing. I have one from 91 and 92, 74 and 75, 76 as well. But
that was the advantage. That was the advantage when they were public, though, because you could at least see some of that stuff at the time. As soon as they went private, it kind of hit it behind a wall. So this is like the first time in years that we've actually had a window because they had to present it as part of the presentation. They had to give some of that information, which is now publicly available. Now you can look it up yourself because as part of the filing, they have to show this information. So it is useful to be like, oh, by the way, actually the business is comprised like this as it stands today. And they outline some of their goals and some of what the things they'd like to do. And like I said, it's not a set in stone locked in plan, but it's part of the plan. It's what they would like to see done. But the market will still dictate. That's what's going to be the final answer. It's what the market does. They're going to react to it accordingly.
of course.
Yeah.
I just couldn't find it.
Yeah. So I just included Aussie Card Dads as relax Aussie Card Dad. Like I said, I left it open, and if no one brings it up, but it's still something pertinent because it is something that came out this week. Like in all honesty, outside of that, like no big auctions, no crazy like new sales. King Golden didn't light himself on fire. Like as far as like general hobby news, I got nothing, guys. Like I don't know what to give you. I don't know what to offer you. So it is going to be very much. I will say tonight is going to be very much based on kind of what you want to talk about. But you guys have to kind of leave it. Bobby and I can sit here and chat for a little while, and we can certainly do that. Mm-hmm. But that'll only be interesting for so long. Mind you, because otherwise we can just chat offline. That's pretty easy to do. But as far as what's going on right now, that's going to be very tough. That's going to be very tough. So here, do we think Topps may now try to acquire more licenses? Try, sure. There's no reason for them not to try. But if you talk about sports licenses, a lot of them are kind of locked up. And the thing is, the leagues like having one manufacturer. Now I know, as you said a second ago, you don't want NFT talk, but here's the deal. If Topps was going to get another license, I would wager they may try to get the digital rights. That would be a way that they could get into a licensing agreement with one of the other leagues, because the Topps 2020 digital one is under MLB's auspices. That's part of a digital license they have. I don't know if MLB or the other ones would separate out the licenses, digital versus physical. I don't think so, but I can't say that for sure, because if, on the other hand, the NBA kind of did, because it's not any of the manufacturers that made the Top Shot. It's Dapper, which is not a manufacturer. So like digital rights could be its own deal, separate from the physical cards, because otherwise it would have been Panini. Yep. And Panini has blockchain, so they made a thing already like that, except they didn't get Top Shot.
Oh.
So just something to think about there. That doesn't prevent them potentially from making their own product again as well, but I don't know what the NBA's deal is with Panini, what it extends to and what it doesn't extend to, because the NBA kind of gets to call that shot unless it's explicitly written out in their contract. And
you said it was 6% of their business?
That's Topps' current. It's digital,
it's period. Pretty high.
And I expect they get higher because I really think they're going to lean into digital, and I also think they're going to lean into on demand, which, by the way, still counts for physical. So, on the Topps Now and the as well as the Project 2020, Project 70 Now, that stuff, that's still physical items. Like, I think that still counts under physical as opposed to digital, because you do still create a card and send it out to people.
Yeah, I just wonder how far digital will go. Be interesting to monitor that as time goes on. I don't see it going too far. I think it's the inertia right now, and everybody's jumping into everything and trying to be the first in on everything. I don't know.
Well, I think though the idea that you're doing though is based on the presumption that collectors have to be involved. For digital to succeed, they don't need collectors. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They just need somebody to trade it. Like, why you're trading it is irrelevant. As long as you buy the thing and trade it, that doesn't matter. The why is irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
No.
And if at some point there's less and less interest in physical as a generation goes forward, digital may be all that's left out of necessity. There may be no physical market.
It'll just be like a stock market, indirect kind of way of doing things. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. It's just a digital thing getting traded. And that's all it is. That at that point, they're not collectors. They are truly 100%, no doubt, no middle ground, no individual slider. It's like, no, you are an investor. You are buying and selling this thing. That's it.
Can they grade digital?
Can you grade digital? Well, that's what Sanderson already puts in there. Like, you probably could. So it's one of those deals where you probably could, to be honest with you. Why not?
There's a business, guys.
Yeah. Could you imagine though?
Virtual holders.
Look, you know what would be great? It would be great is if you did it and then actually went in and you randomized it so like the centering would be off. It's like when you open the pack, it's like it turns out there's a flaw in the digital card in the digital pack. I'm like, how do you have a bent corner? How is that even possible?
That's the odds. So you got to open another pack to get the mint one, right?
So the question though is like, so if your odds are really tough to get a damaged NFT, does that mean it's worth more or less?
Less. Be less.
You'd like to think so, but as from an art
I
perspective,
got the
Bobby,
rare dented
you get the
picture
rare
version.
dented one. Yes.
There we go.
What if it's 1 in 50,000 packs to get a crease in it?
Maybe.
Like maybe that's what the one you
Everything's flipping
want.
around, right?
Maybe
Might as
that,
well
it
go on
has
his head.
character, Bobby. It has character.
Yeah.
It's like you
Character
want the one
pays
with
the
the
bills.
crease. Listen, I have no idea. I genuinely don't know. It's one of those deals. It is what it is. What are you gonna do? But we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Like I said, it's actually a very simple topic because right now it is a wait and see. We don't know. There's too many unknowns, and a lot of it is. I think we have to remember though that like I said, it's not going to be the collector that is going to be concerned with it.
Is
The one
anybody in the group into it?
I haven't. We can definitely pose that to the
Just
chat.
put it
There's-
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for sure. I will say that I did have a chance to chat with some folks through DMs and stuff on Instagram, where they're going to at least give it a shot for the first run through and see if they can get a pack because they're curious. They wanna at least look at it. I'm not gonna. They asked like, "Are you gonna?" It's like I'm not gonna put any money into it. My thing is to present it to you. I'll explain what it is. I'll talk through it because I want to keep up on what's going on with it. So I have like a scientific interest in it. So my interest is like observational. I want to observe what happens and what it is, but I don't actually want to spend my money. if they want to give me a digital pack for free and I'll look at it, for sure. But it's like I'm not going to spend money on it. That's money I could spend on a coffee or anything.
Instantaneous gambling, though.
Listen, I like my good old fashioned instantaneous gambling, but the problem is that then I actually get more enjoyment out of like actual gambling. If I want to then spend the money, let me gamble then on a game or something.
Mhm.
Like a digital pack doesn't do it for me. The excitement isn't there for me. But yeah, so Jim, I spent this week checking out the other hobby, vintage gold and silver coins, and those have been doing those. From what I've seen, I think some of those have been doing quite well as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Although I don't know if I'd call it vintage. I don't think I'm trying to think. I don't think vintage is really the term that's used for coins. But I get what you're saying.
Oh.
I was just thinking about that though when I read it. I was like, do coins really get considered vintage the same way that cards do? I don't know. It's kind of
Well, I don't
Sure.
think cards coined the phrase.
no, I get you, but like there's like antiques, but
Antique is officially a 100-year-old item, and
Yeah.
antiques loosely used. Vintage,
Yeah.
loosely used.
sure, but coins have been around, thousands of years. So it's like, what's vintage? That'd be a very broad definition.
When do they start collecting coins, though? Here we go again.
Well, technically, I would say though coins is much easier. I'm confident there were people who collected them at the time because there's some stuff that's really obscure that somebody had to, even if it was from the perspective of, oh, this is kind of interesting. It's a little different than the other ones.
Mhm.
Those would have been like the early collectors who are like, no, purely I'm interested because it's different. It's something else than the other ones that are circulating right now.
Yeah.
Because it served its function as currency. It was money. But they probably looked at it and said like, oh, this one's different than the other ones. Why? You know what? I'm going to hang on to this one. I'm going to spend the other ones, but I'll hang on to this one. Those were the early collectors. But that goes back thousands of years. A little bit further. They've had a longer track record.
Got the rare Pompeii version.
But somebody had to hang on to it. Otherwise, some of those would have been lost to the sands of time because it would have gotten worn down with use. And once a coin gets worn down, it looks like a flat piece of metal. Like you couldn't tell the difference between that and another one. So the only way you can tell the difference is if there's enough detail left in it.
Yeah, Pompeii, they were all for anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did laugh at this comment though, because I was actually looking at, Last Generation. I don't play a lot of video games anymore. I basically use it as a Blu-ray player, but I play the odd game here and there. But I was looking at getting the new Xbox because now Xbox actually gets MLB The Show. And I was like, that's the only reason I like PlayStation. Yes. If I can get my MLB The Show, I'm good to go. Excellent. Love it. Okay, so here we go. Do we think there will be a change in collecting the next 10 to 20 years? Yes. But I'll elaborate in a second. But yes. Yes, I do. If box prices stay high and minimal retail is available, kids for the most part can't rip product anymore. I tend to, so I'll quickly outline my position. I tend to veer on the negative that you've got about a generation or so before cards are effectively irrelevant. I think the next after about a generation. So I don't think whether they have product or don't have product. I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think it makes any difference. Make all the product. Make none of the product. Doesn't matter. I don't think. I think kids that are growing up to a certain point, because I chat with collectors and I ask a simple question: who have kids? I ask a very simple: do your kids collect? You know what I hear most of the time? No, not really. They're not interested. And these are hardcore collectors. It's like you can't get your kids interested in it. Why? There's other stuff to do. It's not that important to them.
No, it's social life out there is more important.
Yeah, but it's also when you grow up, and like I said, I've said it before, but people keep trying to downplay it. It's like when you grow up with certain pieces of technology, the cards was like the main thing available. When I was a kid, it wasn't 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. It was 30 years ago, but 30 years ago, I didn't have one of these. And I love technology, but at the same time, like opening the packs and things like that, there was availability, there was all that. But you know what else? You had other options, but a lot of them weren't super convenient. You could play computer games, but they weren't great. The video games were all right, and you could definitely play them, and we did. But it was just one of there were only so many options. Today, there's an infinite amount of options, and a lot of people that grow up with their kids now, obviously COVID notwithstanding, but I'm saying outside of that, if they've got extracurriculars, that takes up all the time. What's left to open packs and collect cards? Zero time. Why bother? There's so many other things to do. And if you never start collecting early, why would you do it later?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, there is a sense of nostalgia that comes across people but it's a very small percentage. Very small.
But you have to have the experience to draw nostalgia from. Nostalgia can't like spontaneously appear when it never happened.
If you watch some old commercials, if you watch a baseball game and see they had cards back then, there's little things. Very small though.
It's possible, but it would be a stretch. So let me just see here the rest of this comment here. If box prices stay high and minimal retail is available, because for the most part can't rip product anymore. Yep, no, I get you. But I will say to the second part of that comment, if it's so important, you realize the ripping product is fun, but at the end of the day, if you just want them to have cards, you can get them cards. Like the cards are there. Now, if you're saying like, oh, but they can't open it up and get a valuable card, well, if that's the objective, well, then that's a different conversation. Then shame for you. But by the way, you can go get a stack of. If it's a small kid, go give them a stack of commons. What's the difference? What difference does it make? They don't know any different. It could be penny commons. Who cares?
Yeah.
Give them 2,000. Let them destroy them all. That makes no difference. That's why I say though. That's why I asked the question. It's like, oh, but kids can't read product. So what?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but like I said, I fully acknowledge maybe the problem is now I've been collecting for 30 years. I didn't start off with packs. Didn't have packs at the beginning. Had those silly little collector kits with a bunch of worthless cards like 89 tops and 88 tops. And I didn't have packs until a couple of years in collecting. Not one pack. The first packs I opened were 1991 Donruss. I started collecting in late 89, early 1990. So it took well over a year of me already collecting before I got to open my first pack.
Wow.
Wasn't an issue.
And that was 20 years before that.
Yeah, but the thing is, there was still an abundance at that.
It was
like
packs.
In the early 1990s, there were tons of packs, and they were there, and you could get them anywhere. My dad bought them at the pharmacy. They were everywhere.
Go figure.
Yeah,
Pharmacy.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Like that, you could get them. They were all there. They were on the counter. You could go buy a stack of them, and he'd buy a stack of them. He'd put them on the top of the fridge, and if I did my homework and did something, I got a pack. Simple, easy, and the cards are worthless. My nostalgia to it is kind of limited because the cards are literally worthless. Also, they were kind of ugly.
Yeah.
So it's like, nostalgia has limits. Is all I'm trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really just want your kids to have cards, well, then give them cards. My suggestion is give them cards. They don't need packs. Just give them cards. If that's your goal and your objective. Yeah. So 1,600 to 1,900 coins are vintage. No, that's fair enough. I think it's an interesting thing. I'd have to kind of look into, I'd be curious what the definition really is, because like I'm immersed in that world to a certain degree, but I hadn't really thought about it from the era perspective and what they would call it, because the history of it is so much longer that it's like, because imagine, let's say you did call 1,600 to 1,900 vintage. So what's 1,599? Because there were coins in 1,599. There were.
XRT vintage.
They don't have this problem because they've got such a long span of time. You can go back all the way to ancient Roman coins.
Yeah.
Now you can say ancients, and that'll cover a lot of ground, but at a certain point, it can't be ancients anymore. So like you have to establish some kind of a cutoff. And it's loose because some of those coins we don't know when exactly they stop producing them.
Pre-Ice Age, we can get into all those.
Pretty much. Yeah, those are the ones we can afford. Yep. Yeah, if you think real packs are expensive, there you go. Yeah, therefore they don't have the connection we gain to kids' cards. For days, digital is the way of the future. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And if that, and like I said, if that's the case, if that is the case, what's going to happen is eventually the physical card will be meaningless. It'll
Will
be
it
like,
even
oh,
be a, will it even be a card?
yeah, that's the thing. Like, why bother? What do you need it for? That's why I say, like, as a collector, I am not. I don't have collecting rose-colored glasses on. I have reality glasses on. My prescription works well enough that it's like inherently there is no value to the cardboard. You're assigning the value. You desire it, therefore it has value. But if you don't desire it, it has no value. It is a piece of cardboard. There is no difference between one and another. It make the history and all that. Then that's a different conversation. But once you get past it, understand what we're trading here. We're trading in cardboard. That's all we're doing over here. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It can be a great experience. It can be, great conversation and all that. That's all part of the package. But at the core product, it's not that exciting. And if you're a kid who has all these other options, it is probably the least exciting thing you could offer them. What are you giving me paper for? What do I need cardboard for?
Villanos.
Yep. So hang on to your pennies, pre-96. Eat your 3 cents in copper value now. There you go. I don't know if I'd want to hang on to that many of them to make it worth your while, but hey, there you go. So good evening, 90s hockey collector. 2010, good for you. There you go. Better than 2020. But yeah, I think though, as far of a general topic as the future, I guess it depends on how pessimistic or optimistic you are. That's really the thing. I'm a little more on the pessimistic side. Now, here's the thing.
Really?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm not bothered by it. It doesn't bother me in the least. I don't think there's some rule. There's nothing that came down from the heavens that says this hobby has to last forever. Maybe it has a finite life. Maybe it grows, it builds, it lives, and it dies. And if that's the case, and that's what happens, that's what needs to happen.
Yes.
What's the problem? Like, to me, there's no issue.
I believe that. Everything's set in eras and
Yeah.
generations, and things change and
Yeah.
dramatically change. What we know of technology today in 30 years is going to be what?
Yeah. And in the grand scheme of things, it has had an excellent run. It's had a pretty good run. And by the way, I haven't pronounced the end of the run. It's not over yet, but we're in the 8th inning. Since we like our analogy, we're in the 8th inning of the hobby as a whole. In my opinion, I could certainly be wrong. We'll see what happens. But if I am correct, we're still about 20 years out. That's why I said we're about a generation away. So get back to me in 21 years and we'll see where we're at.
Yeah, it's just changed between I think 1991 and then 2000s, and now we're in 2020. We're in another change, I think, and this virtual cards and all this other stuff is happening right now. So
yeah, the
reason what's to say that the longevity of a lot of these companies that are starting now is really a good move financially. I'm not going to say any particular company, like, I don't know, Card Ladder or whatever. Mm-hmm. Just all these companies coming in. Do they know they only have a finite time, or do they have a finite time? I guess we don't know, but
we don't know, but also let's say
40, 50 years down the road. No,
but 40, 50 years down the road, they won't be in it. It won't matter. No, realistically, if I was starting a card company today, and let's say my crystal ball was bang on. Let's say I knew definitively. And let me quickly give where I'm coming up with this approximate 20 years, because it's not a hard, fast, like, oh, exactly 20 years. And then on the 20 years in one day, it falls off a cliff. It's not exactly like that. Yeah. But let me explain where I'm coming up with that general premise. When we're using the nostalgia thing, we're going back about 20 years, give or take. A generation traditionally is about 20 years, give or take. Yep. You want to cut it down to 10? Fine, call it 2 generations, whatever you prefer. So what we're looking at, though, is, so for me, when I'm drawing back nostalgically on the time I was collecting and I started growing up in it, I draw to the late 80s, early 90s. So the 90s tends to be like my prime time of my favorite cards and things that I was collecting at the time. Well, that is now approaching, at the very end, 1999 is now 20 years in the past, more than 20 years in the past. That's how we arrive at those times. Do I have connection to the cars in the 2000s? Absolutely. There's some great ones in there that I enjoy as well. But now we're getting into the secondary part of now I'm a more mature collector at that point. Now I'm already been in the game for a while. So Brian, I can see you, but when you're ready, just nod and let me know, okay?
Yeah, but there's three because you have to understand your first 20 years of your life
Sure.
is the first, and
Yeah.
then the second is the next stage.
Yeah. So what happens though is if you're talking about like high prices and stuff. So Brian, if you're good, just nod. You good? All right, sounds good. So I'll bring you into the conversation in a second, Brian. Just hang tight. But the thing is, once you get past a certain point, what I look at is when you're starting to see those record prices and stuff, it's not generally not 20-year-olds buying it. It's ones who are in their 30s into their 40s. Now they're professionals or they're opening businesses or whatever. They're making money. So now when they want to look back at the nostalgic stuff, they go back to when they were kids. Well, if they're in their mid 30s, early 40s, maybe they'll look to stuff 25, 30 years earlier. So you go backwards. So you say to yourself, as you head into it, so I was a 90s kid through most of that. So my generation still draws from that. Now the 2000s, you're probably still good. The iPhone didn't come into being until 2006. 2006 is a magic number for this technology. It's not that technology didn't exist before, but the iPhone changed the game. Because
Give it to 2010 because it just started. So
no, I get you, but I'm saying
part, yeah,
2006 is kind of a
even numbers. Come on.
Yeah, 2006 is still an even number. But the thing is that when you go past that point, you're going to eventually have a generation of kids who grow up predominantly with that type of technology as the core. When you get to the time they're that age, their nostalgic memory is going to be the first generation iPhone or an iPad. It's not going to be cards.
No.
At a certain point. And then from there, figure about 20 years. Well, when they're of that age and they have the money, why would they need a 52-tops manual when it never meant anything to them in the first place? Just because it's valuable?
Historical baseball player.
Sure. If they care about baseball by then. Baseball's done a lot to damage its own long-term viability as a sport. So they might not care about baseball at all.
True enough.
Historical or not. And this is coming from a baseball fan. That is my primary favorite sport. But I'm telling you, they have done as much to damage themselves as a sport in the last 20 years as any other sport.
True.
They're in decline. They're not in the rise. They're still making money, but they're in decline. The body's dead. They just don't know it yet. So we'll see how much longer they have before they're irrelevant. Basketball's still got a little runway, but they could eventually run into the same fate. Football's doing great until eventually they run into their own problems because they have plenty of greed to go around. They have their own issues. So all those sports have their time in the sun. If we wake up one day,
hockey's still good.
Sure. Until esports grows to the point that, you know what? You don't even watch real sports anymore. You watch esports.
Yeah.
And then you're done. Maybe the nostalgia is esport cards.
Maybe.
There's your next thing. # invest. But I just wanted you guys to have the context of why I came up with that approximate 20 years. It's not out of thin air. I'm thinking of it from the generational thing and the nostalgia piece. It will get tricky going forward. So anyway, quickly, Brian, how's it going?
It is going good. How you guys doing?
Good, Brian. You're short.
I know.
There we go.
I got a weird setup, I guess. I don't know. And a bad back.
No worries. No worries.
I'm
Getting
doing
better?
well. Missed you guys. Yeah, I'm getting better. I've been training and skiing and living in a world of I don't know if I'm going to be in an emergency room or if I'm going to be fine. And it's interesting. I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen. But we don't want to talk about that garbage. But yeah, I've been working out a lot and skiing. The weather's been beautiful.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's been fun.
No, that's reasonable. It's one of those things, but that is going to be when it's focused like yourself that have kind of the way we're operating in the world right now. It's that you still got to take advantage of what it is. If you can get out there and do a couple of things, you can do your skiing. Well, then do it. That's why I say, especially if the weather's cooperating. That's why I say a lot of folks that are spending a lot of time complaining, well, then go outside. Okay, go outside by yourself. You know how you can social distance? Go outside by yourself. Just go take a walk. Go take a walk. It's okay. You can. I always make fun of my mom because she is one of those folks who will be like, "Oh, I wanted to get out and get some air." I was like, so you turn the knob on the door, you pull, it opens, and then you walk outside.
Or maybe you should go out and practice baseball so you can get paid $430 million to play baseball if baseball's still around.
If baseball's still around, exactly.
Baseball.
But I have to give her a hard time about the damn thing. It's like, you're not a prisoner, madam. It's like it's your home. You're not in a home. You're living in your home. You can open the door and go outside anytime you want. Nobody's stopping you. I promise you, nobody's stopping you. It's hysterically funny to me because the only way she can go outside apparently is she bugs my dad and then go to the grocery store. I'm like, why? You're complaining about being cooped up inside the house. Go outside.
Yeah. Are they vaccinated now?
My mom got her first shot, so that was good. My dad is going to get his, but he had double lung surgery a couple of years ago, so he's got to be very specific on which one he uses. He can't just use anything. So
Smart.
basically, they're double checking. They're making sure, like, okay, so which one is cool, which one's good, because he has a compromised immune system forever. So he's the one who's got to be extra careful.
Whoops.
See, Brian was moved by that. He needed to knock down the.
I was moved by that. Yes, very much.
Yeah.
Well,
so he
I'm
needs
glad
to be.
that they're
My
being
dad
safe.
needs to. Carlos Senior is the one who needs to be the most careful. My mom's second most careful. So take what they need to do. Take what they need to do. They'll be fine.
Good.
I get mine Monday.
Yeah, I'm going to look towards scheduling mine sooner or later. It's one of those things though. I'm a homebody, so most of the time I'm at home. To be honest, the only people that I come into contact with are basically my family, or when I go out to do errands and I'm wearing my mask and stuff. So I'm around. So I will get it. I don't need to be at the front of the line. It's like, you know what, you guys who need it more, go get it first.
Yeah.
And as soon as I don't have to sit in a line and wait for nonsense, I'm like, okay, I'll be right behind you. But I'm
I get
also
my
not supposed to say.
I get my second on Monday,
Oh, good.
That's good.
but I'm flying to Tennessee and stuff mid-May. Gonna go see the Kings and Memphis Grizz play.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, so
I think as long as you get your shots in, absolutely. Why not?
heck yeah,
I think that makes sense.
I'm excited. It's gonna be fun.
Sounds good. So quickly, I'll read Gauzy Card Dad's here stuff here. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the 25 to 50-year-old current collectors die off. That's kind of the time period that I'm thinking about. I think the cards players will still be relevant as will be fractionally that are still relevant. Will be fractionally owned for the most part. That's possible. Watching virtual reality baseball. You know what? It might be a better version by then.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You're like rounders, like England.
Exactly.
I mean,
Okay.
you very well could be right though. There could be no more collectibles in 2 more generations.
Well, the thing is, it's not that there
very
won't be.
possible.
It's not that the collectibles won't be there. It's just that the
be
demand will
there.
not be there to carry it. It'll be a case of whoever does decide to collect will be able to get anything they want. So congratulations to them. They will build the greatest collection to ever be compiled will be from somebody after I'm aging out. I will get a chance to see it. Maybe I'll get a chance to visit it. But they will compile it for like $100
Yeah.
because it won't be worth a damn thing. But you know, if I get a chance to see it, I'll take some pictures and leave it on whatever version of the VR blog exists at that time.
What is this? Hashtag sell now? Is that what we're doing?
No.
I think you've got a little bit. When I say in all my pessimism, you still got time.
Okay, good.
It's not going to be a tomorrow thing. You got some time. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, keep an eye. Don't be shocked if down the road. The good news is, depending on what generation you're in, it might not affect you. You might not care. It's one of those things. Like it might. That's why I say, like, it's not imminent.
No.
That's the reason why I can still enjoy. I will enjoy my collecting either way, but I'm not bound by the value. That's less important to me. But I'm also not delusional. The appeal you have to care for the appeal to be there for you. Otherwise, why would you care?
And do you own a digital card?
No, it's one of those things where like I would only do it strictly for trading. Like to me, it would be a digital commodity. It would be something you could flip. It wouldn't be dissimilar to certain types of crypto. Although at least crypto, I like the underlying technology. That's interesting to me. Like I enjoy that for what it is. But I also treat it like this is something exchangeable. You flip it and you turn. Yeah, you buy it and you sell it, and you buy it and you sell it. That's all it is. But there's no collectability to crypto. You're not collecting Bitcoin. But you can have Bitcoin in a virtual wallet and do all those things and buy it and sell it. And it's basically like commodity. It's basically like forex trading. It's like trading one currency for another.
Yeah, it just the digital one of one, or the super rare card PSA 10. The digital just doesn't have it for me. But
Yeah. And that's the thing. I really don't think long term it is going to be for collectors. You're not going to be the primary audience appeal because there's nothing there to appeal to you. What is it? it
Right.
it's it's something, but it's not something that will appeal to you as a collector because you're not really collecting it in the sense. So it's kind of difficult to treat as anything more or less than that. So good evening, name. I'll quickly catch up on a couple. Who knows if they start another league? It's possible, but who knows? So let me go here. Yeah, so Aussie Card Dad, I'm lucky being in Australia. There should be no rush for you to be vaccinated. You're in an island continent. The best part is I laugh because some people act surprised. It's like, how is Australia doing? They're an island continent.
Mm-hmm.
They can literally shut themselves off from the rest of the world and be like, you're not coming here. You're diseased. Yeah. Leave us alone or we'll sick our kangaroos on you.
And our dingoes.
It's like, stay out. Crocodile Dundee will come and show you what a knife is. All right, you stay right where you are.
There's enough things in Australia that'll kill you anyways. They got the most amount of poisonous snakes and spiders in the world, I think.
Exactly.
Funnel spiders and brown snakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But that's why I chuckled because there was somebody because there was a conversation happening at work and I stayed out of it. I have no interest. Listen, I like arguing about stuff. I don't like arguing about stuff that's pointless. I'm not. Cards are also pointless, but at least they're fun. Pointless. This is pointless. And it's not even fun. They were like, it was some folks that were based out of the U.S. and they were like, it's like, oh, but in Canada, don't you guys have a lockdown in Ontario? And they're like, yeah. So why aren't your numbers going down? It's like because there's a lockdown doesn't mean it's being enforced.
No.
In theory, a lockdown would work perfectly, except you have to enforce it. The way they've enforced this one is like, we could have a lockdown for the next 55 years and it wouldn't make any difference because they're not really enforcing it. It's just a lockdown in name.
Yeah.
Doesn't actually mean anything.
Yeah, nobody really cares. Everyone's doing what they're doing anyway.
Yeah, like they've got plenty of people having parties.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, well, if you do that, then you're just dragging it out longer. Carlos, who likes hanging out in his house anyway, guys, I can do this for another 15 years. I don't care.
I'm writing a book.
It's not going to bother me. I got time. I got time, bros. I like working from home. I'm good. Don't worry about me. I get Amazon here just fine. We're solid. So good evening, Victor.
Victor.
Yeah. But that's the thing, yeah. We moved all our dangerous animals to the border to keep everyone out. As you should, Ozzy Carter. As you should. If I wasn't already here, I would consider going to Australia and putting the animals on the outskirts myself. It's wise. Continue down. Stay the course, Ozzy Cardad. Stay the course. You're doing it right. You're doing it right. Yeah. Send me a pic so you can check it out. Very nice. Very nice. They're talking back and forth. Looking on, they told me they enforced it. Yeah. Well, basically, that's what's happened for the most part. There's really nothing to lie. If you want to live stream it, you just go outside and look at people who are ignoring it. That's the lockdown. But that's why I laugh. It's that, look, if they actually did adhere to it, probably our numbers would have taken reverse and probably we would be well on our way to reopening a whole bunch of stuff by now. Like, honestly, it would have already been done if they had actually been serious about it and actually done it in the first place. But all the people that want to whine about it, oh, it's infringing my rights. Well, then fine. We'll keep dragging this out as long as you guys want.
Yeah.
We're not reopening the rest of the non-food part of Costco until you people can get it together. It's up to you. Well, they literally boarded up. My parents like going to Costco. So now it's food only. So all the non-food stuff is basically like blocked off. They're like, we're not going to sell it to you.
The dollar store is like that. I went to get them foam board and they go, no, you can't buy that. I went, I got to ship stuff. And they go,
diseased foam board.
Yeah, it must be. It's horrible. Things you got to do.
California's masks everywhere, but everything's pretty much open.
Well, I think it's one of those things where a lot of it is time and place. A lot of it is luck of the draw. And also, it really depends. Like, I'll tell you, a lot of it depends. If enough people wore the masks, you could probably get by on it. It's probably good enough. Now, mind you, I guess it also depends. Like, if you're wearing the mask or not wearing the mask and people are like breathing on each other, well, then you're probably going to have a problem at some point. You know, that could be an issue. But if you're kind of keeping to yourself and doing your thing, then you probably have very little to worry about day to day. That's why I chuckle. It's like, that's why I laughed when they were I was on mute during that part of the conversation because I'm chuckling and they're like, well, I don't understand. You know, why do your cases keep going? It's like, look, COVID doesn't spontaneously appear in your house. If you're sitting there hanging out watching TV, you're not gonna automatically get COVID watching TV by yourself. I promise. It doesn't work that way. But it's that people aren't doing that. That's the reason why. It's that they insist on going out and hanging out with their neighbor. Like I said, even the neighbor here, like a couple of weeks ago, I was listening and they were like having a party, and it's like, I'm sure that isn't your family that you're hanging out with.
Well,
I'm confident in that.
could
I
you
don't
imagine?
care. It's your problem, but I don't deal with you.
It would be horrible if you were like a senior in high school and a big time athlete. And it'd be horrible. All your sports would be getting delayed, and you wouldn't be able to go see all the chicks, and it'd be horrible. We're just old guys, sitting here looking at our dudes on cardboard. But
that's very important. See,
right?
Cardboard saves lives, people. Cardboard saves lives.
That's right, saves lives.
It does.
But the thing is, though, even in that situation you're talking about, it's also understanding where you need to place your angst. Well, look to the left and go look to the right. That's your problem. Because if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and the people around you aren't, well, then they're the ones extending it. So you have an issue, take it up with the person on your left and take it up with the person on your right. Because they're the ones rooting for you. Because in all honesty, this isn't complicated. If they had been serious about it in the first place, the damn thing would have lasted like 2 weeks and we'd be done.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is one of two things. Either people will get better or they'll die, and then we're done.
Well, I think majority of the people who could be affected were affected, and a lot have passed. So that has culled a lot of the population that would have been predisposed and what have you, unfortunately. And most everybody who survives now has 99.9% chance of survival. So you put that into a kid's head, he's invincible.
Yeah.
Even when you're a kid, you can have a 50%. You're still invincible.
Yeah.
Oh, still invincible. You're right, Bobby.
And it works. But the thing is, I don't have to be a scientist to know that any virus worth its salt mutates. And the longer you let it sit around in the population, it mutates. So now it's like, yeah, you're 99% good on version 1. Yeah. Version 2 is a little better than version 1. It upgraded its software.
Or version, yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is, so all of a sudden you were good for version 1, and it's like, oh, but by the way, version 2, if you get that one, you're a little more problematic for you. Or less problematic, right. Again, depending on your individual makeup in terms of your DNA and stuff. That's the reason why it's like, it's not one size fits all. That's not the way it works.
Reinfected cases are super high in women, I guess. Or women are more susceptible. There's more cases of women in reinfections, so... Just weird stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, they're the ones with the blood clot problems too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Tends to be. Now the thing is, if somebody else is predisposed to blood clots, that could be an issue for them as well. So that's why I say, like, it's individual factors. It's not like, oh, for sure, if you get it, this happens, or if you don't get it, this happens, or whatever.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, there's no one size fits all. It doesn't.
Yeah, of course.
Unless you want to run an experiment and find out for yourself, I wouldn't recommend it. I leave it to you. But
so, do you think that all the huge salaries in baseball have led to the federal government that's trying to change the law for taxes against the MLB? Did you see that?
No.
So the big salaries in baseball have led to some problems. What specifically are you talking about with the taxes of MLB?
Well, I guess they've been exempt from some sort of major tax that hockey isn't, and the NBA isn't.
Oh, okay.
And the law's from 1922. I don't
gotcha.
Actually. I just saw one little blip on it. That's
okay,
all.
Gotcha.
I thought you might have heard something. But.
Gotcha. No, I haven't heard specifically about that, but I will say that Major League Baseball has had kind of a free ride on a lot of things, and they're hilarious to me. In the same vein of why I say they're killing the sport, is that they cry poverty while at the same time paying certain high salaries,
right.
While at the same time saying, well, we can't pay them all high salaries. It's like, so why'd you pay that one?
I mean, these salaries are insane. I mean, they're mind blowing. I can't believe it.
But the thing is, part of the reason the salaries are high is because they're making plenty of money.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
Here's the thing. It's like, I don't care if the players are getting paid $1 billion each. If they can earn $1 billion each, then they deserve to get $1 billion each, because that means the owner is making $2 billion per player. Like, it doesn't matter what the number is. The owner's making more. Yeah. So, and I don't care if the owner makes money. That is not interesting to me. It makes no difference to me. As a businessman, it is their business to make money, and that's okay. But don't cry poverty to me when you make plenty of money and the ticket prices are going up and you've got seat licenses and the merchandise goes up every time. The price
It's
keeps
one of
going
your
up.
40 Fortune 500 companies.
You can't do both at the same time. You can't cry poverty and then keep increasing the price.
Yeah,
It doesn't work both ways because I don't believe you.
of course.
I don't believe you. And I have no reason to. Because if this business is so bad, you get out of it. I don't like losing money. Why would I run a business that loses money? That seems silly to me. That's stupid. Maybe it doesn't lose money then. Maybe it makes plenty of money. That's the cool part about businesses. Most of those guys run multiple businesses. Let's say the team loses money. It's good for taxes. So one way or the other, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Like,
It's a write-off on the other end, right?
Such is the way of the world, my friends. Such is the way of the world. And I don't have an issue with that, but then I don't want to hear you crying because I don't care.
There's plenty of crying in the world these days.
That's right. Senator says there's a card show at Boston Garden on Sunday. That'll be interesting.
That'd be fun.
Are you going to attend, though? That's the question. Number one, are you going to attend? And number two, I assume in Boston, yes, but I don't know the answer to it. Do they do masks at the door? I'd be curious to see what their policy is.
Is there any word on the national now?
Still, I think basically they've been quiet about it. They did acknowledge that they're keeping an eye, but their last announcement that I saw, I have to check again to see if there's anything more recent, but their last announcement maybe a couple of weeks back is they effectively said, we're still a go, but we're going to keep an eye on what the state authorities and what I think it's Rosemont is where they're actually having it, Rosemont, Illinois, and they're keeping an eye on what Rosemont says and what the state of Illinois says, and they'll update once they get to a certain point. But they basically still want to have it, but they did cancel the Chicago Sports Spectacular, which is problematic. So it's like it's in the same venue. So it's in the same venue and it's maybe a month and a half, 2 months before. So it's like it's cutting it real tight if the same venue could not house the one in June.
Deposits have to be put down, money has to be put up,
Yeah, it's huge. And people
What
have to travel.
What I'd like to know is what the red line is. What's the point at which there's a point of like, we have to make a decision? Like if we're going to kill it, we have to kill it now.
I think it's in the next few weeks.
Probably. That would be my guess.
And for the Fall Expo, Canada, we're doing, I don't know what's going to happen. You're looking good. You're not looking good. I don't know if it's going to happen in the fall. We'll see.
Well, that's the reason why I led with what I said before. You could have it, but the whole lockdown thing we're supposedly doing, you can't be wishy-washy. If you want to do it, just be like, look, 2 weeks, shut up, quit your whining. It's like, you know what? You go outside when you're not supposed to, shot on sight. Just do that. Do that for a couple of weeks, and I promise you'll fix your problem. You fix your problem. Because that's all it would take, really. Like 2 legitimate weeks of like, look, get what you need, get out. You go there, wear your mask, go home. 2 weeks. And that would honestly resolve like 95% of your problem right there.
Carlos Mao.
Listen, we already established I don't particularly care for people. So I could have said shoot them on sight because it's Wednesday. Like, this is just a great excuse. Like, it makes no difference to me. This is just a great excuse. Yeah. Everybody always complains about corruption in California, as if every other state isn't corrupt. That's adorable.
So
yeah.
Brian came in and said a funny thing. He says, "Oh, it's great weather. I was out skiing. Do you say that in Canada? It's horrible weather, and you have to ski."
It's how we get from point A to point B, Brian.
That's it.
Well, it's not sunny enough where I'd move there, I guess.
I'll trade you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll trade you straight up. You can have it. I'll take California. I enjoy it because I've literally watched like vlogs of people who live in California. They're like, oh, I just wanted to move to somewhere where there's weather. I'm like, wait. So you've got nice weather effectively year round. Yes, boring nice weather regularly. And you want to move to a place with weather, meaning winter? You're an idiot. You're a moron.
Well, we have probably the longest ski season in the world right here in California.
I believe
you got the mountains.
And it's 2 hours, it's 2 hours away from, or 4 hours away from the beach, So
Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah.
I will say one thing. It's always fun for me to watch different folks on things like that wherever you are, you tend to fall into one of two categories. You either really love the place to the point that you will defend it against everything, almost to the point of delusion, which is funny, or you like have like a self-loathing thing going on where you just hate it and every other place is better. It tends to fall like there's a lot of folks that like fall into one extreme or the other, and it's bizarre.
Well, I love the diversity. I love the ecosystems. I love everything about California. It's super expensive to live here, and the taxes are horrible. So I'm not the property costs and values and taxes are outrageous. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I'll ever leave, though.
No, I get you. But here's the funny thing for me. I always enjoy that because that's usually one of the things they'll complain, because there were a series of videos from a lot of the financial YouTubers. They're like, I'm moving out of California. And I'm chuckling because I'm like, great, good. More people move out of California. Because here's what happens. The same supply and demand economics that apply everywhere else is like, oh, but real estate's so expensive because people keep wanting to live there. Taxes are so high because they get away with it. Because they keep electing the people that raise the taxes. It's like, but then it gets into like this, a bipolar thing. It's like because of liberals, they're voted in. Yeah. The property taxes are high and the real estate things are high because people want to live there because the weather's nice. Now, here's what happens. If no one lives there, then no taxes are collected. Then at some point they have to reverse course just to get people to come back. This is how this works. So I'm saying, keep raising the taxes, keep leaving, do your mass exodus, and then if enough of you leave, then your property taxes come back down. There's a reason that the best part is when you go to the comment section, though. They're like, oh, man, I could buy a mansion in Montana. And I go, yes, you're right, because no one wants to live in Montana.
You'll be frozen for three-fourths of the year.
That always used to be the running joke. We have the same thing in Canada because they're like, oh, the real estate prices are so high in Toronto. Like I could buy, a palatial estate in Hamilton. I go, have you been to Hamilton? Do you know why you can buy a palatial estate in Hamilton? Because it's like the after a zombie apocalypse movie. That's Hamilton. There's a reason why. Listen, I could have bought a block for what I paid for my condo in Hamilton at one point. I could have bought the whole block, all of it, every house on it, and the people in it to work as my indentured servants, and it probably would have cost me less than it cost me to buy a condo.
Have them all with fans,
yeah, exactly,
blowing the fog away.
Yeah,
I've been looking for another property up in the Truckee area in North Tahoe, and man, it's just been getting more expensive every week.
Yeah, and the reason I say it, I make fun of it, but the reason is like, guys, the reason why this is the case is that if more people want to live there, the price is higher.
Yes, I know.
It's real. Like, there's nothing complicated about it. For all your whining and complaining, it's like, well, clearly other people do still want to live there. Otherwise, the prices wouldn't be so high. Because if the landlord can't fill it, or if they can't sell the property, they don't make any money.
Yeah, I just don't want to wait. But
but reality tends to be the opposite. When you go to the New Yorks and whatever, and even this is post-pandemic, a lot of that real estate's still real expensive. If you go to certain parts of it, it's still so. Why is it so expensive? They had all this problem. Funny enough, there's some people that are still willing to buy it. And if you drop the price a little bit down, it becomes more interesting to them. There's some folks sitting in the wings where if it goes down a little bit, which by the way will still be very expensive, but they're sitting there ready to pounce if it goes down under the 10 or 15%, which will still be really high. But it's like, okay, we'll see. That's why it's always kind of fun.
Toronto's like the lesser evil of the temperature of Canada. We get away with a lot of good weather, whereas Saskatchewan, Alberta, oh my gosh, -40, Celsius. It's just you need the block warmers for your car. So Toronto, we don't do too bad. A few other provinces aren't. BC is actually nice, but all the other across there.
But funny enough, the places that are a little bit nicer, price is higher.
Toronto, Vancouver. There you go.
Isn't that weird? Yeah. Isn't that bizarre? How those happen to be the places that are more expensive? Isn't that strange?
British Columbia.
Interesting.
That's BC. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like that must be a coincidence.
Yeah.
No coincidence. There's no accidents. Like there's a logical reason for all of it, and the people spend all their time complaining. It makes me laugh. I get a kick out of it. So quickly, I'll read Sanderson Torres. Here's things. 45 tables. Mask must be worn. Social distancing. No, he's not going because he doesn't want to wait 10 minutes. That's completely fair. I get you.
I wouldn't go.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, it's a bit of a nuisance. Yeah, and Sanford here chiming in. So good evening, Sanford. Good luck in Texas in 10 years. That's actually one that I've heard a lot, where a lot of folks are like, oh, I'm going to move to Texas. Cool. If enough of you do that, the property prices will go up. And then I look forward to hearing your vlogs complaining about the property prices in Texas. That's going to be fun. I'm going to get a kick out of it. And then if enough of you move in there and they start having an infrastructure issue, watch what happens if they suddenly realize that they actually need money, like the state government, and suddenly you start having to pay income tax. That's going to be fun. I'm going to get a kick out of it.
Yeah, keep moving out there. I'm all for it. I'm with you.
But the day will come. There will be a day where we'll wake up and suddenly it'll be like, why is there state tax in Texas? It was never state tax in Texas, because they realize there's money to be made.
Happens
You idiots.
every time.
Like,
Happens every time.
It's supply and demand economics. It works at the state level too, guys. If enough people move out, suddenly they have to change course. Or if enough people move in, suddenly they have to change course. It's weird how that works. It's every time. It's not once. So Robert here adds, and so good evening, Robert, as well. I used to read a Vancouver real estate blog. Tons of people bitching how expensive it is, how bad the city is. I said to them, if you want real estate values to drop a nuke on it. Exactly.
Yeah, their downtown's a little rough.
No, but here's the thing. It all plays into it as well. If enough people get upset about it and leave, property prices come down. And then all of a sudden there becomes a great incentive to gentrify it, clean it up, fix it, and suddenly make it more appealing to bring people back in.
That's
Somebody
not
else
gonna
will take your
happen.
place.
Well, COVID didn't help us out. I was hoping it was going to help the traffic problem and everything, but it kind of didn't work out for me. That's a joke. That's a
Traffic
joke.
too?
Just killing people.
It's not going to happen, Bobby, because the prices haven't come down, because not enough people have left. As
Well,
long as people want to live there, it doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as I say, at that point, don't complain about it. We don't feel bad for you. Deal with it.
Watch out for the armadillos.
Or move to Texas. Everybody should move to Texas. All 350 million people in the United States should all move to Texas. That will be fun. Remember the Alamo.
Nevada. I'm gonna
No,
move
leave
to
Nevada alone, Bobby. I want Nevada to myself.
I know you do.
Yeah, that's
like,
mine.
silence.
That's mine too.
Enough out of you. That's enough out of you, sir. You will not ruin Nevada for me. They can have Texas. I'm keeping Nevada.
I'm keeping Nevada too. So
There you go. Yeah.
I spend plenty of time in Nevada.
Yeah. So, but that's just a reality of life. Like there's nothing crazy to it. Like it's just the truth. I like this one, Sanderson. Property in Detroit is pretty cheap. Yes, it is. Correct.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I can buy so I said I could buy a block in Hamilton. I could probably buy Detroit.
Yeah. Hashtag
Hold on, I got
best. Yeah.
Bobby. You willing to go halfsies on it? I got a 20. Can you ship in the 20? We can probably buy Detroit.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's in bad shape.
Well, if we get RoboCop, we can pool our money and get RoboCop in there. We might be able to fix it. At least some of it. We'll carve out a niche.
Yeah. Start renting them out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Listen, we get RoboCop in there, we're solid.
We just got to have something for them to do to make money for us, and then buy stuff from our stores. And
I'm sure we can think of something. So Sanford says South Tahoe. Exactly. Actually, it was funny. I was a couple of buddies of mine and I went to Detroit. It was a couple of years ago now, but we went down to go visit because we wanted to go down to check out the hockey game. We did. We went to hang out at the hockey game for a bit. Now it's funny though because I think I could be mistaken, but I think they had an MGM Grand there in Detroit. So I think it was an MGM Grand because it was definitely one of the chains. I'm pretty sure it was MGM Grand. So MGM Grand actually has some really nice places. So we went there to that one. There were a couple of things that stood out to me though. Now this might have changed since then. So if it has, by all means, you can certainly update me on it. But at the time, they didn't have a sports book, which I thought was weird. I wasn't a fan of that. I was like, no sports book, really? That's kind of lame. That's kind of trash. Facility was really nice. The sports bar that they had on it was actually really good. I liked it. It looked nice. It looked beautiful. But what made me laugh, and this was hilarious because I do enjoy going to casinos. I do enjoy playing the table games and doing some gambling and stuff. But I was like, I laughed because, and I joke with buddies. It's like, all right, it's time for them degenerate gambling. Let me go do my degenerate gambling. I'll be right back. But then I went in and I walked around for a bit. And then they were like, Carlos, you haven't played any games. So guys, look around. This is the most depressing place I've ever been in. I just looked because you saw the people that were like at the slot machines and stuff, and it looked like they had already lost their will to live. And I go like, well, this is depressing. Really depressing.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jeff says they've got it in Detroit. Good. I'm
There's
glad.
places like that in Reno, and it's the biggest little city in the world, right?
Mhm.
But I call it
Yeah.
the dirtiest little city in the world. But yeah,
Sure.
there's places in that, like in Reno.
Yeah.
You walk in and it's like, oh my god.
But this was the thing. The thing with Las Vegas is that if you go to most of the main casinos, it's Las Vegas. People lose money all the time. But generally speaking, they have a good time doing whatever they're doing. And you can see them, they're enjoying themselves. Okay.
That was me. Sorry,
Oh, okay, got you.
I was at intercom.
No worries. But what happened was they'll have a good time. They'll play the slot machines. They'll play like the 5-cent slots or whatever. They'll hang out there for a couple hours, kill some time, and then go see a show or go get some dinner or do whatever. People will be playing the card games or, poker or whatever. And they'll play the roulette wheel, and there's plenty of energy in the room. Well, that MGM Detroit was like the opposite. It was like there was like negative energy in the room. I'm sitting there like, the place is occupied, the place is full, but like, is this like the anti-Disney? Is this the most depressing place on earth? What is this?
Everyone's got their head down, right? Everybody's like,
It looked like there was literally not an ounce of joy in that entire building. I was like, what the hell is this? This is the most depressing thing I've ever seen. The place looked beautiful, but I was like, man, this is depressing. Good Lord. Well, you guys just sucked the joy out of this for me.
did you make a wager? Or did you move on?
We went to the sports bar, got a couple of drinks, had some food, and then left. I was like, I can't.
Good for you.
I was like,
I
I can't.
Good
The whole
for you.
point of this is for me to have fun. There's a good chance I'm
Yeah.
going to lose some money. Let me at least enjoy myself. If this is what I've got to look, if this is what I've got around me, like this is a bad vibe. This
Yeah,
is not
you want
good
to
energy.
sit down to some people having some fun and smiling and doing a little hooping and hollering and
Like the commercials.
yeah, man. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I was at enough tables when I was in Vegas. I was there for enough things. It's like, guess what? I was there when people won money. I was there when people lost money. And trust me, the energy was good. We won money and we lost money. And we had the whole roller coaster ride therein at playing at a roulette table. I think I was down $1,000, up $2,000, down, up, down, up. By the time it was done, I broke even. Basically, I left. I lost the money that I brought in, but it was only a couple $100. But like, if we had walked away when it was happy hour, we would have walked away with a couple of grand. But then we won it, we lost it, we won it, we lost it, we won. I didn't have to put more money on the table, but we won it, we lost it, we won it, we lost it, and at least we had a good story out of it. And
That's a
the
fun
people at the
night,
ta-
yeah.
and the people at the table had a good time. Like we had fun, and it was a good story. That would be the exact opposite of that. It's like no one was having fun doing anything.
like the Sons of Anarchy in there or something.
Yeah. So Jess says they probably just came from a Lions game. I can at least accept that. It's like, yep, you were in Detroit. That is correct. Yes, I was. It's like,
Give me
never
1 second.
again.
I'll be right back.
It's only 4 hours away. So
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
I'd go to the hockey game, no problem. I'd go to Comerica Park to check out a baseball game, no problem. I was at Ford Field to watch a football game, no problem. The MGM Grand, I'm out. That's a hard pass on that. But I'm glad they have, so Jeff said they have the sports book there now, which is good. At least that's something. So that's an improvement. I at least appreciate that. But man, that was depressing. That was just sad.
I haven't been to Detroit for quite a few years. I've been close to the border. I've been on the other side of the border. I met a few people in Windsor there for a few deals. And I went to the casino there. It's huge. That thing would get lost. I just went, where do you play? It's like 2 floors, and it's really, what's the big one on the Canadian side just before the border? I forget what it's called there.
Casino Niagara?
I guess that's what. No, it's on Windsor.
Windsor.
Yeah.
Is it just Casino Windsor? I thought there was one called Casino Windsor.
It might be. Yeah. It's just right at the border there. It's like right at the river is the dividing between Detroit and Windsor.
Oh, apparently it's Caesars. There's like a Caesars Windsor.
Oh yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. So
it's huge, but it was all spaced out. It was like there's miles and miles of walking just to play. All these sections are kind of 1 person, 2 people. It was very weird.
Well, they were trying to social distance before it was cool, Bobby.
See, they're smart.
Prepared for the future. Future-proofing the locale, my friend. Future-proofing the locale.
Windsor's another town that's interesting.
It is. I agree with that.
It's like driving downtown in Toronto in the 70s.
Okay. Interesting.
Just take my word for it.
Take your word for it.
It's like the old school kind of old stores and businesses, and before the upgrades came in the 80s and 90s,
Right.
like flashy signs and different things where they back then it was handmade, homemade signs and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
See a homemade Subway sign for subs, and you go, not like I'd go to Subway anyways.
Nice.
I'm a Mr. Sub guy. Sorry, it's a Canadian thing.
Wow, Mr. Sub.
Mr.
Bold
Sub.
move. Bold move. All right.
Hmm?
Any particular reason for the preference or just in general?
Well, I don't know, eating them for 40 something years, sure.
All right, so you're just ingrained into the Mr. Sub world then.
Well, you know, Subway, they have this assorted where they put bologna in it, and bologna doesn't belong in a sub. Sorry.
I always appreciate when Bobby takes a hard line in the culinary side of things. That's very important.
Well, I like it when they make a sub and they cut the meat fresh. Subway doesn't do that.
No.
That's fair.
I've never really seen them cut it fresh. You mean like luncheon meat?
Oh,
Are you talking
yes.
real meat?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Bobby,
I
Bobby.
gotcha. Oh, that's a delicatessen at that point, right?
No, some of these sub shops, they'll cut the meat right in front of you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Delicatessens are a different story, but you know, they'll cut it right in front of you. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But a sub shop, like a chain you're talking? Or just a small personal owned?
Porta Subs does it here.
So is that
Porta?
so is that
Porta?
Subs.
How do you spell that?
Porto, like a submarine. Porta Subs.
Porto? Gotcha.
Porto.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought it was an A at the end there. It sounded like.
Yeah, that's why we were double checking. So Robert here says the old youngster with Sam the Record Man. It was interesting when they used to have the record stores. Like it was a very different. And the thing is, it feels like it was quite a while ago now. But it doesn't feel like it was, but it really was. Like Sam the Record Man went away years ago.
Tower Records. Yeah.
A&A Records was right beside it. It was two major record stores right beside each other, massive, biggest in Toronto. And you'd go in one, you go in the other. Sam's was always better.
And then Dimple was really big here till the end. And then they just sold their last ones. Not too long ago. Yeah.
It's fair. So let me quickly get caught up here. So Hockey Guy says Subway V cut was better.
That's a weird way to cut your sub.
Right. So good evening, Paul.
Gotcha.
So there we go. So okay, quickly I'll zip through these and I'll come back to this one for a second, Sanford. Hang on. So Paul says V cut with
I like
steak
that
and
question.
cheese. Yeah, I think it's a fair question.
It's
Jersey
not
Mike.
steak.
Jersey Mike says stays, Bobby.
Jersey
Subway
Mike's is
uses
good.
Spam.
They're good.
Okay, so quickly, let me get Sanford's question here. Do you think the global demand for basketball will eventually bury baseball card prices for future product releases? I think baseball itself is doing a great job burying it.
I think it already has it not?
Yeah, like long term, I think it's hurting itself big time. I will say though that basketball is still on the ascend. Like obviously, now is it on the ascent forever? No, I'm not going to make that claim. That's probably impossible. But I will say it still can ascend a little bit more because it's just a lot of demand has gone that way. And I think that's just reality. As far as collecting wise, Brian, so you like at this point do you collect a lot of basketball? Would you predominantly focus on basketball? Where does your preferences lie?
I think you should collect whatever sport you like the most. But I personally collect basketball the most.
Sure.
But I've always been a basketball fan. And then I collect baseball and then hockey and football a little bit.
Ooh, hockey got the nod before football.
I like hockey cards. Hockey cards are nice. And I think just football players, you get so much crap. So many guys that aren't even playing. And hockey is a little more like basketball where they're smaller rosters, and I just think you get a better product coming out of the boxes. Personally, I enjoy hockey more.
I think one thing that hurts football as well is that you really do focus a lot on the quarterback. Understandably so,
yeah.
but you do
100%.
like the emphasis because you look at some of these other players, like running backs tend to have short careers. Yeah. So you just have to factor that in. Even if you want to collect a running back, you have to understand, like, unless they're transcendent and eventually go to the Hall of Fame, you're probably losing money.
And the game's different now. Game's different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And wide receivers, maybe things work out, maybe things don't work out. That's hard to say. It's not in their control. Like, there's a lot of things that are out of their control. A defensive player, they better be really flashy. Otherwise, there's nothing doing there. I'm running out of positions, and I'm running out of categories of positions.
No, you got all the positions. Don't worry.
Yeah, but the thing is, once I go past the quarterback, it gets murky. Like no matter
Yeah.
which direction I go, it gets murky. It's not, and by the way, as an observer of the game, you can appreciate those players and what they contribute towards the overall because
You
they're
bet.
important. They're extremely important. But from a collecting standpoint, they do not get the quote unquote love. They just don't.
Nope.
And the more likely than not, they won't. And it's unfortunate. Include Paul's here spam song. Just got to have that. So modern basketball is king, Robert here, but there are very few vintage sets, so it will never exceed baseball. For vintage, yes, because simply there wasn't as much basketball vintage available. So that is true.
Yeah, there wasn't.
Yeah, there were big gaps because obviously the reason the 86 Fleer is so famous is because there was no 85 set. Because otherwise you would have had a Jordan 85. Or if Topps had come out with a Jordan 84, that would be the king card, not the 86 Fleer.
Did it stop from 81 to 84?
I think it went from 81 to I
Or
want to say 86.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's any 82. I don't think there's any 83. No 84
Right.
as far as I know, other than Star, obviously.
Right.
But I mean like a regular pack pulled set. I think 86 Fleer is like the first next major set that was like pack pullable and stuff like that. That's why 86 Fleer became so famous.
And then they started doing all the flip flopping where Upper Deck stopped, and then
Yes.
Topps
And that
did
always throws
this,
things off. And that
yeah,
throws things
yeah.
off. Once you get these weird gaps, you don't have this consistency. You can't be like, okay, we got sets every single year. Baseball, if nothing else, once they got into the post-war period, you had a set, at least one, every single year.
Yeah.
Even during the strike year and stuff, you had less, but you still had a set. You had a 94 set. They exist. They weren't as popular, but they exist. So it's like, it was part of it too.
I think the modern basketball card market is modeled monetarily a lot by the baseball card market, but just juiced up. But the X's are kind of the same. That this card's worth 1x compared to this card worth 3x to 10x. But just juiced. But just I guess a great baseball player is worth what, like $120 to $150.
Well, it depends, right?
And a great basketball can be 10 times that, 1,000,
that's where the
1,200.
value, yeah, that's where the value is right now. Because that's what I say. Like we can use a lot of these young guys because and I can use Soto. An equivalent basketball player would be off the charts right now. I'd be sitting on a gold mine with the Sotos I have right now if he was a basketball player of equivalent potential that they're looking at.
You'd be holding Luka Zion combined.
Yeah. I don't know who the equivalent would be right now in basketball. I can't make that conversion. But whoever it is, because considering there's a lot of guys who I have never heard of who have $1,000 rookie cards, it's like it's hard for me to then imagine that a player who has great potential and has at least something to show for their talent so far wouldn't be well into that stratosphere already.
And just in the last few years, the super high end cards have gone exponentially up for just those few rookies of the past few years compared to, say, LeBron. If LeBron had cards like they're giving out now, I mean, it'd be insanity. Yeah.
It would be. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So Subways has spam?
They do not. They do not.
Bobby's getting caught up on that comment.
Well, maybe in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There you go. I'll quickly get caught up on these comments here. So Robert says in football, defensive players don't get to do. They don't. It's just a lack of hobby love, but it's unfortunate, but it's just a reality. Now, here's the thing: the great irony. There's some defensive players who have long careers, so you'd think at least if they got some due and they last a long, because a running back, the problem is a running back can be spectacular, but the careers are short, no matter what. So it's very difficult.
If you make the Hall of Fame, you'll get a little love.
Yes, correct.
But it's still a fraction. If you're a defensive lineman, it's a fraction of what it is for an offensive player. Just a fraction.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So Hockey Guy's question is not sure what they mean by Barry card prices comment. I think it's just where the attention's going because modern basketball is still dominating that market. Like the big dollar cards are still being dominated in modern basketball. That's where a lot of the big money stuff is happening. Vintage can still hold its own. It can hang in there, but it's been a lot of modern basketball with the big dollars.
Well, that's the influx of the investor too.
Yeah, a box of Prism is what, 2,000, 2,200?
Yeah, how is that even like?
Oh my God, that is. Whew. That's gambling. That's going to Vegas right there, baby. And you're going to lose.
Exactly.
Bargain. Let's go. Bargain.
I think I'm better at blackjack, man.
But if you win it one time, that's all it takes, right?
Yeah. Well, the
That's
problem
true.
the problem
That's
I
true.
would say, in all honesty, is that and this has been discussed already for a fair bit, but it's still worth repeating. Once you reach a certain cost, we can always talk about spam, Bobby, but not yet. Not yet. But the thing is, once the box price reaches a certain point where what you can pull out of it, it's almost impossible to even break even. Like, it's not even difficult. It's like borderline impossible.
Yeah.
It's almost to the point. It's like, this isn't like a lottery ticket. This is like a lottery ticket where even if I win, I lose. Like, imagine if I say, hey, congratulations, you won. I say, okay, you do $100 scratch off. Hey, you won. What do you win? $20. I still lost.
Free ticket.
Like, I won, but I lost. It almost would have been less insulting if you had said 0. Try again later. But it's like, actually, this is more insulting because, like, yeah, you give me money like it's like I won a prize. I didn't win anything.
It's called hope.
Yeah.
Oh crap! It has 2 soft corners.
Exactly. So quickly, I'll touch these ones here. So Sanford says, I can't wait to ask Tops to disclose their production throughout the first quarterly report. I agree with Hockey Guy. Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that.
They have no incentive to give production runs, any of them. They have no incentive. People can complain about it as much as they want.
Just makes it more interesting for them. Yeah. They're not gonna show you.
Okay, so let's take a look here. Do you think Topps will make a play on getting involved in basketball card rights? Probably not. I would be shocked if they want to do it. Panini still has a lot of resources to be able to throw at it, and I don't know. I don't know if anybody's said anything about what the. I was trying to think of what the. If anybody had mentioned at all what the expiry date on those rights are, because it could be a while away. I don't know. I haven't seen anything related to it.
And if they give it to 2 companies, that's more time and effort for the players and everyone. It's just a big pain in the ass, isn't it?
That's going to piss off Jeremy.
I mean, if Panini's got to take pictures and Topps, I mean, it would be more difficult.
Carvin did a very good job. Carvin did a very good job outlining this from the manufacturer perspective. He basically said outright, he goes, for the league, it's not worth it. Like,
that's not
why?
That's not fair competition. Yeah. It's almost like a monopoly in a way.
But I think Carlos hit it on the head, though. Why for the league? Why?
No, but the thing is, it is a monopoly, but it's also a monopoly in the sense that the league is like, well, it's our license. We can do what we want with it. So it's like, we don't have to make it open to a million manufacturers because it's also a pain for us. So it's
I want them to, though, Bobby. Sure. I want them to, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So here we go. Hockey is a religion, not a sport where I live. It's been 70 years. What city do I live in? Somewhere in Saskatchewan? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing about Canada.
Yeah, I was going to say
why hockey.
There's a lot of places that would lay claim to that.
There's a lot of rinks around every time you go out. Okay, 7-8 months of the year.
I like this one. You guys ready to make your guess? Who wants to go first on the Reggie White PSA 10?
On a PSA 10?
I guess it'd be Topps, right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I'll say 1,500. I haven't heard anything crazy about Reggie White, so I'm just guessing. So just quickly zipping through these. Basketball is worldwide. Baseball is not. Yeah, there's pockets of Latin America, and Japan does enjoy baseball, but I just don't know if they have enough of a collector base over there to really push it. But basketball definitely has an international pitch.
Is it counting down, Brian?
200. I say 200. What do you say?
Where are you looking it up? You got something on eBay?
I haven't looked yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh.
I'm totally guessing.
Yeah, no worries. Sanderson Dora says he started first basketball set, 81 Topps, having fun with it. That's good. As long as you're having fun with it, that's good. So, Hockey Guy looking at some old Beckett boxes were 85 or 90 bucks. Okay.
Oh shit! You got a guess there, Bobby?
No, I don't follow. Is it pre 1990?
1986.
Yeah.
In hockey?
No, this is Reggie.
Football, Reggie White.
Yeah.
86,
I think, is
one of the best defensive ends to ever play, huh?
Yeah, 86 is a Jerry Rice rookie, isn't it, as well?
87, but they look almost the same.
Oh, okay. It's 87?
The 87 has red and white and green with mainly green, and this one's green with white.
Okay. Oh, Robert here makes a comment. I'm going to get to it in a second. But doesn't he have the USFL one as well? So is it the NFL one or the USFL?
He does have the USL.
So that would be
USFL
earlier.
one.
So that'd be earlier. That might be an X factor there. So Hockey Guy says, "Congrats, Carlos. Here's your 1 of 1 worth $14.32 on eBay." You lost me on that one. I have no idea.
I write hockey price guides. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Oh, here we go.
Well, you were close. You were closer. It's like $8,000 for the tops, and for the USFL, 23,700.
Yeah, that's what Robert had here. 84 PSA 10 sold for 23,700. Perfect. You remember
with 34 bids. Yeah,
I was curious. Okay, cool. Sounds good.
I wish I had that card.
I like Sanford's comment here. I want to see them square and explain the hedge funds. I would be shocked if hedge funds cared.
Yeah.
They're like, production run, I don't care. How much money did you make?
Yeah.
How much money did you make? And how much money do you intend to make? Answer me that.
Bottom line.
$5 billion. I don't care. Makes no difference to me.
Was that even a card?
Yeah. Like whatever.
That is very true.
Okay, so they beat Jeremy's team tonight. Okay, so whoever was playing Calgary is the answer to Jim House's question. Says the Monopoly has been challenged before in court and the company lost. Yeah. So 300. PSA 6 Reggie the other day to show for 30. Very hard to grade that year. Yep. Here we go. It's related to the $2,200 box of card break point. Where's the scratch ticket? Where's the scratch ticket? Oh, okay. Yeah.
The
scratch ticket where you lose.
Prism.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's in the pack.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing though. Like, but that's real. Once you get to a certain price point on the box, if you have to pull the absolute perfect thing, because normally when you get a box that has good value, and you've got at least a reasonable shot, maybe there's a couple of cards that you could pull that would, maybe you pull a couple of cards and break even, pull a couple of more cards and come out ahead a little bit. But at $2,200, what you have to pull in order to win this game, and by winning, I mean making $1 over the cost of the box, you're already behind. Like at the moment you open the first pack, you're better off leaving the box sealed. The box is worth more to you sealed. And selling it to somebody else.
Boxes have surpassed their pull.
Yeah. And that's problematic because then it's like, well, then what's the incentive to open it unless you truly want to gamble? You truly want to gamble.
There was an 8081 box that sold for what, $30K? 8081.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
$30K. You got to pull.
But here's the thing. If I have $2,200, and I would love for somebody to actually run the numbers on this with the inserts and with the thing and try this with like the $2,200 box, for example. Run the numbers, look at the odds, and try to see what the odds are of pulling something, a single card that would make this worth your while. Now, compare to whatever that number is. If I go play at the roulette table and put $2,200 on black or red, I have a nearly 50-50 chance. I've got a nearly 50-50 shot.
That's true.
My odds are better.
So
did you guys ever watch Pac-Man? That YouTube channel, Pac-Man?
No. Well, actually, maybe I have, but is he somebody who does breaking?
Yeah, he breaks a lot of product on there.
Okay, maybe I have.
He doesn't sell it. He just breaks it.
He just breaks it. I know the guy.
He gets stuff from Panini. Yeah. He does a really good job, and he does a pretty good job of saying, look, I spent X amount of dollars on this, and this is what it's coming out to. He does a pretty good job of doing that. Mm-hmm. I'll give him props. He's a good one to check out.
I'll give you an example of because it's a different genre, and Steve, the Hockey Oracle, would appreciate this. So I'll give you an example of a different genre because Steve likes to talk about Magic the Gathering and stuff and all that. But I'll give this as a silly example, but there's something related to YouTube as well. So I'll use this as an example with the box breaking thing. There is a YouTuber, I think it's Tolarian College. I forget the exact naming of it. But what happens is one of the series he does is he'll take the current product and he'll play what he calls the box game or something like that. But what he does is he opens the box and he actually will open it. And as he goes through it, he'll pull up the values of some of the bigger cards in each pack and try to see if he can pull enough to surpass the value of the box. And the point of this game is to see how many boxes he can get in where he at least makes money or breaks even to be able to theoretically trade in or forward the next box and sees how many boxes he can go. And
that's cool.
Yeah. But it's like a way of testing value. You're trying to see, like, if I open this box and I pull the stuff out of it, do I open one box and I'm done? Do I get to like 15 boxes, 20 boxes? How many boxes do we get? So in this example, the $2,200, you'd probably be done on one 999 times out of 1,000. But there are plenty of times where he'll do this series, and he'll get to box 6, box 7, box 8, box 9, box 10, where he will pull enough value to meet the price of the box or exceed it and be able to keep going in the game.
Depends on the
Modern
product.
modern basketball or
No, this
all kinds
is
of
Magic
stuff?
the Gathering.
Oh,
Because
okay.
the box
Oh,
prices are
oh,
reasonable to
gotcha.
begin with. So he's just trying to pull enough value to be able to theoretically be able to sell off the cards and be able to buy another box. That's the test he's doing. He wants to see what the value is in the product. Well, oftentimes he can go 6, 7, 8. I've seen him go 15 boxes deep where he was able to keep going. So there was enough
Interesting.
value in the box where you actually got your money back to be able to go get another box theoretically and keep the rest of the cards.
It seems like it used to be like that. Now,
Yeah.
very hit and miss, and some are just
Oh,
why bother? You won't get past the first box anytime.
But that's why I'm using this example, because this is where somebody is intentionally doing this to test the value proposition. He's showing the audience. He goes, "I'm going to open the boxes and we'll give it a try and let's see how far we get."
Your odds are against you.
Well,
Huge.
the thing is, clearly the odds were fine because he's usually able to go multiple boxes in. So like, while
yeah.
the product
Boy.
is reasonably priced, so you've actually got a shot at getting your money back on a consistent basis. You're not going to get rich. You're not
No.
going to pull $5,000 worth of value, but if you pay $100 or $200 for the box and you get $200 worth of product, are you whining about it?
Oh, if you could find Prism in the wild, you're in business.
Yeah.
But I guess if people say they break even, then they got to sell it on eBay and take 15 points, and then they have to spend the time selling it and scanning it and all that other stuff just to break even or just to make $1.
I get you. But the thing is though, if you're when he's measuring the value, he's only picking the best card in each pack.
So there's still the commons, right?
So you're getting the presumption that you break even and then keep the rest.
Gotcha.
So if you're a collector, this is a good thing for you because it's like actually it lets you
Gravy.
chug along.
It's like one hollow foil per pack or something
Correct.
like that. Yeah.
Well, but it's certain odds, but yeah. But what happens is, and sometimes he'll open $100 box and get $500 worth of cards out of it. Well,
Stop. Then stop.
You could, but I'm saying if you want to build a set or something, you could do that.
Carlos, walk away from the table.
But with these
Go to
other
the buffet.
But with these other ones, though, like the
The
point
spam.
is that with these boxes we're talking about, there's a good chance you will never make it past the first box.
Oh, God.
You open everything, you try to sell every last thing out of it, and you're still behind, and you got no hope of ever making up the difference.
It's $200 for a Prism blaster box.
And it's funny watching those guys open it because they almost talk themselves into that. Yeah, I think I broke. Yeah, I might even be up. No,
Yeah.
you're not. You're not.
No, for sure.
Not
and
one
Hockey Guy
PSA
says
10.
it.
No PSA
And Hockey
10.
Guy says it correctly here, because he's saying that the difference is all the cards have certain value because people are playing the game. So
True.
the cards have some value to them. Even the commons may have some value to somebody, or the uncommon stuff. Because it's not a player, you're not. But yeah, base cards have virtually no value. So you may as well chuck them because they're not adding anything to it unless you want to put the set together. Otherwise, it's filler. It's landfill fodder.
8 guys
Like-
want to put the set together, base set together.
Like
Exactly.
Pokemon cards. Yeah.
Yeah. So with a collectible card game, at least you've got a shot at some of those commons, maybe having value to somebody who's putting together a deck. And that's what you're hoping for.
I can see kids playing Pokemon where they're throwing their PSA cards in. Charizard, bangs.
Listen, I would watch that probably.
Honestly,
as long as
I got to do a meme of that or something.
I want a kid to play an entire deck of PSA graded cards. I want him to do it. Let's do this. Let's go. That'd be amazing.
Let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah, like the whole deck. Let's do this thing. I can't see anything that could possibly go wrong. You need deck protectors and all that.
Yeah. Hey, I finally got my first PSA submission back. My first ever.
Or your first ever PSA
Oh.
submission back?
First ever.
Really?
Ever.
How long did it take?
I was going to say.
9.5 months.
Okay. Sounds about right.
You could have a baby in the same amount of time.
Okay.
This was a special. I sent in 4.
That's not special.
I'm special.
There you go.
Special. Okay.
There's a lot of special people in this hobby.
I'll be publicly correct. I'll be good here. But yeah, they sent me my least valuable out of 4 submissions first. It was a Mike Trout and Ken Griffey. and I had to come up with like 20 cards, and I did good. I got like
I was gonna say, if you're sending it a trout, you definitely had to fill it in. It's like, guys, I've run out of cards. I literally have nothing. There's no 91 Donruss. There's nothing I can. There's nothing else.
Here's
Really?
a trout. Yeah.
Mike Trout. I guess that's like 91 Donruss. Fine.
May as well
Sure.
be.
So I sent in all these base cards, but I sent in a bunch of Ken Griffey's from when I was a kid that I collected.
What Griffey is that one? Let me see that.
This first one is the outfield power. Flare.
Okay, Flare. I like those cards. That's nice. I like.
They're
those.
nice. They're pretty cards.
They're
all
fun cards.
they're all
fun
glossy. Yeah.
How'd you do in terms of grades?
These were my personal cards that have been stuck in and out of things and pulled in and out of things. I got an 8.
Okay.
And then here's
for out of a pack. If you had it since the 90s, that's probably about what you'd expect. That's probably about average.
Pulled it myself, man.
Yeah. Probably
another 8.
Yep.
And then I was just sending in whatever trouts, but I got a lot of 10s.
2020 Trout.
2020 trout.
There you go. Okay.
10.
Oh, good Lord. Multiple. Jesus.
Turkey red 10.
Oh, good Lord.
10. I got a heritage 10. I just had to fill the order. I got a whole stack of just a bunch of trout cards.
Right. And when you sent it in, what was the grading cost for those at that time?
I paid $8 per.
For $8 per, that's not terrible. For $8
No,
per,
I felt good about it. Here's a good one that I like. Here's the metal,
heavy metal. That's nice.
heavy metal.
It's a 7, yeah.
Got
With
a
it, I would
7.
think it. Honestly, I would think with a set like that, with foil, that type of foil, shipping would be prevalent. Shipping would be big time prevalent.
Yeah.
$8, the good old days.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to do the bulk order at the time,
94 collector's choice.
Oh, collector's choice, classic. Okay.
We got
the collector's choice is probably all right.
95 ultra Griffey.
Okay. Wow, okay.
Then here's a 2019 Griffey short print.
Oh, they had a variation, a photo variant or something?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
You say 10, got a 10 there. Oh, look. More of those.
Great.
A few more of those. Oh, and then I had one number. I don't have a lot of trout cards, but this is
I was going to say, you sent them all in.
I got to pick through I had a lot of those. I got a couple turkey reds 10s.
Right. Nice.
I don't know. Whole bunch of crap.
Okay.
All my Jordans though, all of my Kobe rookies, my Shaq rookies, they're all still sitting there in stage 4. I'm like, come on, guys.
How many stages do they have again? I forget.
There's 10. Once they hit stage 5 though, well, they'll sit there in stage 1 forever, and then they go to stage 4 forever, and then once they hit stage 5, they come out the other end real quick.
Yeah.
It takes about a week, and they're done.
Right.
But
8.5 months to get to.
Oh God! But I feel good though. I have like 89 cards in there, and I didn't spend more than $10 for any of them.
That was the whole thing, but that's how PSA got that backlog in the first place, because there was that period of time where you could send it for $8 to $10 a card, and people were like, "Whatever, leave it for 8 months, like whatever," and so they would just send stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks.
Send 2020 Mike Trouts, right?
Exactly.
So you're part of the problem there, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. It's like clogging up the works with 2020 Mike Trouts is what you did.
For 7s.
That's what I do.
Yeah. So quickly, Hockey Guy here says, used to pay Pokemon deck and all top loaders. That's bold. All top loaders. The thing is, though, like, from a practical perspective, that's so impractical. Now, mind you, I will say for gaming cards, they have the sleeves now, like the reinforced sleeves that are you can shuffle. Imagine though trying to now again, I haven't played Pokemon in fairness. I don't know how much. I assume they shuffle the decks as well, the similar way. But in top loaders, that's gonna be miserable.
I think it's possessional, isn't it not? You don't shuffle the deck.
You don't shuffle. I think you
have
them up.
you come.
Okay. So you don't. Like I said, I plead ignorance. I know of the game. I was around when kids were opening the packs, but I genuinely don't know how to play. I don't understand how the game works.
Yeah, you're the youngest here.
But I can't help you. I was aged out of that. My younger brother was at least peripherally involved, watched the cartoon, so I am familiar. But I genuinely know nothing about the game other than I knew of the cards at the time. And I knew they were super popular. I knew the kids love them. And I knew the Charizard was the big card even back then.
And
99
wish you
is a big
stole
card.
them all from your little brother and his friends and stuck them in the closet.
Listen,
now.
if he had bought the damn thing, I would have gone to him when there was a moment, when there was a moment there, and the Marvel cards were selling for good money. I went to my younger brother and go, "Hey, you had this shit. I know you had it." It's like, I'm sure I think it's sitting in binders. It's like, I don't think he took great care of it. I don't think it's, to that condition, but it made me laugh when I saw a bunch of this. Like, I know for a fact you had that stuff. You opened boxes of that stuff for sure.
I think those cards are cool looking. I think they're cool.
The art on them is fantastic.
Yeah,
I was
think
never a
they're
big
rad.
comic book guy, but if you appreciate the art was glorious on some of them. The Marvel masterpieces, like there's like a 92 Marvel masterpieces, and some of them were like oil paintings. Like really
nice.
good art. Like it was great art. If you appreciate the art, it's good. It's
Yeah,
good.
I wish I would have collected some of those, but
Yeah, it was never my thing, but it's like, hey, I respected it because it was good art. So Ty here. My dad bought me a $900 steel box of Prison Football and pulled almost $600 for the card. And compared to the average box, I did great. Yeah, $900. You're in that zone where it's like, good luck getting the money back on that.
That's a lot of money on a box.
football's just tough.
Well, the thing is, I chuckle because in 2018, the year of Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and all those players, and Baker was one of the big pulls at the time. I bought a box of Prism, and it was $170 Canadian.
Yeah.
I bought it from the store. It was $170
from
Canadian.
from the store.
Yeah, this is a hobby box. This was a hobby box. It's not retail, hobby.
Wow.
Like I went, like that's what the hobby box was. The hobby box is over 2,000 now.
Yeah.
I was like, and the best part is when I bought it, I opened the box. The video is on the channel. If someone wants to go back in the archives, I have the box where I open it. I did pull the Josh Allen out of it, and I pulled some other cards. Nothing amazing. It was an average, below average box. But today's value, I got my money back and then some. To be honest with you, I did.
Then, sure.
No, I still have the Josh Allen rookie. That card is actually.
Is it the RPA to 99?
No, I wish. It was the base rookie, but I have one of those. And to be honest, I still got most of the cards. I sold off some of the cards, and I broke even years ago. So at this stage, it's gravy. Like I'm already in the black. But it was a $170 box, so it's a lot easier for me to get in the black. The Josh Allen is probably getting close to being worth that now, raw. If you grade it, even better.
He's going to be a really good player.
I think so. That's why I'm not in a rush to get rid of the card.
No,
I was like,
no.
it was sitting in my common bin forever. It was just sitting in the box.
Yeah.
It's nice when you can move it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'll move it up a stage. I'm on stage 4 of Carlos's process, similar to PSA.
I really want to rip something, and I haven't ripped anything in a while. And
There's a lot of folks that are running into that problem. So
Man.
I'll get Sanford's comment here. Metal Universe. I enjoyed several of the Metal Universes. I thought they'd made some really nice looking cards.
I have quite a bit of the 90s basketball and some of the baseball. And they're really cool cards.
They were. I think there was a cool design. I think it was a cool idea. I think they did a good
baseball
job.
cards were crazy with all the monsters and different planets, and they're really neat looking.
Yeah, they were trying something different. I appreciated that they tried something different, and that's all you asked for. Like at that point in the development was just come up with some cool idea, something I haven't already seen 15 times. And they did. They came up with something that we had never seen before. It was new.
I was buying packs like crazy from 7-Eleven. I remember. Every
but the reason why it makes
I
me
had.
laugh is that even like the Metal Universe baseball, they were $2.50 a pack. Like they were like I remember I bought the packs at $2.50 a pack. They were cheap.
Yeah.
They were common as dirt. And the basketball one, I don't think was that much. I think it was the same.
Yeah,
I think
it was inexpensive. Yeah.
Yeah, even the Jordan base card now today graded is like nuts. And got it forbid the Kobe, and I think I could be mistaken, but I believe
I got some.
Yeah, I believe the what's it called? The Tim Duncan, I think was a rookie that year as well. I think in that 97. I think it was Tim Duncan was the rookie year.
Yep, I did not get him.
Yep.
Be right back.
No worries. So Sanderson Orr here. I brought my daughter to the card store a few years ago to buy Pokemon cards. I had no idea how much some of these things were worth. I choked when I was told how much of a certain card was. Yes. Yes. But you know what's interesting? I'll tell you. I was looking at an article the other day. It was a little while ago now, when originally the Charizard was making its big ascend and it was going crazy. And I was looking in I want to say it was like an article for PSA maybe, but I remember an article where they were talking about the value of the Charizard, PSA 10. And apparently the value of it, like you could have had it for like under $1,000, like $750, like even like 10 years after it came out, like longer, like for years, the thing was expensive by relative terms, but like comfortably under $1,000. Now you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
What is it at now?
I think the last one that sold was pretty good. I'll see if I can find.
I mean, Gary Vee was saying it was going to be $1 million in the near future. It didn't
Well, here's the
hit
thing.
that.
I've said on this live stream before, I think it's going to be $1 million card. Not like today or tomorrow. I think
Right.
what the projection I have is not even based on the current market, to be honest with you. My projection is actually based on that 20-year cycle I talked about. Because
Right.
because what I'm saying is 1999 is when these came out, okay? And this is my logic. And if you guys disagree, by all means, that's fine. But let me explain my logic here. My thought process is as follows. I think that what's going to happen is thinking 1999, if you're like 7 or 8 years old, that means you were born in 91. Let's say 91. Let's use that as a number. So you were 8 years old when this came out. Let's say you have a nostalgic fondness for this. Let's say that's your bag. That means you're only 30 right now. That means you're probably another 5 to 10 years away from hitting that zone I just said about maybe being at your peak spending power. Let's say you start a business, you make some money, you do a couple of things here and there. Maybe by that point you're joined by some other collectors who have some nostalgia. And for you, it's Charizard. For you, that was the prize. And you want a PSA 10 Charizard. And you've made maybe a couple $1 million or 30 or 40 or $100 million opening businesses. And you're in your 40s now or your late 30s. Is $1 million, are you going to sneeze in $1 million to buy the Charizard by then in about 5 or 10 years? Probably not. So that's what I say. Like, I'm not saying today or tomorrow, but don't be shocked if
In
5 or 10
20 years or in
it
another
might
20.
it might even be 10. It
Yeah.
might be 5. But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like there's a generation who hasn't come of age yet to be part of that market, who might have the nostalgia for that card. So for them, it's real.
Well, those guys on Card Ladder, they were showing on one of their videos, right, that it's about every 4 years for the card market that we do an up cycle, an uptick.
I think that's fair. But the reason I'm picking that number is because I'm looking at their age.
Oh
Like,
yeah. No.
like,
I
I'm
get
just
what you're
looking at-
saying, for sure.
I'm basically waiting for those early
yeah.
90s kids who were born in the early 90s to come of age.
Yeah.
Because they will still be old enough where the kid was born in 91, by the time the iPhone came out, just using that as an arbitrary cutoff, they were 15. So it wasn't like they were born with the iPhone in their hand, but it wasn't long after. It's not like they were old by the time the iPhone came out. But
Yeah.
they're young enough where like they might have collected the Pokemon cards. And to them, the Charizard might have been the Holy Grail when they were kids. Maybe they had one. Maybe they damaged it. Maybe they lost it in a game. Maybe
Yeah.
but there's an association, maybe a stronger link to it than just being a random card.
Here's the most likely. They destroyed it.
And that's okay though, because that still
Yeah,
plays in the
yeah.
narrative, and that might make it. Maybe they really want it. Maybe they really want to get it. And when they have enough money to play that game and play at the highest level, that's when that card can have another surge. It'll have probably another one before that. But I'm saying that is the biggest opportunity, where the ones who are maybe perfectly aged to go after it, that could be interesting.
Before Pokemon goes digital.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there's a window. That's why I said like there's a
yeah.
window where there could
Most
be some
definitely.
crazy stuff happening with that, and it could very well be a thing. We'll see. We shall
Probably will be. How many PSA 10s are there of that?
see. So remember, there's a different version. So I'll use first
Right.
edition. First edition
Right.
is what I'll use as the comparable. Let's see, Pop 122 for the first
Okay.
edition Hollow PSA 10. So the current value right now
Nice.
was about 300,000. And then one sold for just under 400,000 in March, and then the last one sold for about 311.
Oh.
What does it do when you get the 9 out of 9?
Let's see. 34.
Drop.
34.
10x.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is about right, between 9 and
Yeah,
10.
no,
that's not
that's-
shocking. That's about
That's
right.
not shocking. That's right on the money.
Yep. So I'll quickly get through these comments here. I think you're right on the money. Yes. So those kids of the generation start making that money. Yeah. And the thing is though, like it's not a stretch. I'm not reaching for this crazy theory that's like based on like we've seen this. We've seen these cycles. That's normal. That's the generational cycles. The 52 tops Mantle rose in value, but when it really started to take off, the 1980s and the 1970s, like 70s and 80s. Well, that's about 20 years after the card came out. Isn't that weird how stuff like that? And then obviously once it got inertia and it became the iconic card, it continued from there. But
and then you get educated collectors that want it.
You needed an initial impetus. You needed somebody to go, you needed that nostalgic pull. And 1970s dollars weren't like they are today. Like they just weren't the same, but it definitely appreciated from the 1950s into the 70s and into the 80s. And then once there was a card boom anyway, the Mantle joins everything else going because it's already an iconic card. It's an established card. We'll just keep rolling with it because baseball was still huge in the 80s. So like it was doing great. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Pokemon's going to have its time in the sun. It's already having it right now. So I'll include Hockey Guy's comment here. It isn't going anywhere. I agree. Still make the show. So it's still relevant to the kids. So I am in agreement with that. Mid to late 80s kids played it a ton too. No, that's fair. I'm not discounting them. I'm just looking at the younger side of that demographic who was in that first generation, who might have been opening packs in that first generation. I'm looking at those younger ones as extending that window. The ones who were in the 80s kids who played it, yeah, totally. They totally did. But they're already approaching the age where they'll probably help the next little boom here in the next couple of years. But I'm talking about the ones that come after them who will potentially keep it going. So there's still another cycle there. So they'll get another run at it. I would be shocked if it didn't hit 1 million. Like it will have its moment in the sun.
I would be too.
Yeah.
It will.
Yeah. It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time.
And it's rare. 122. I mean, that's...
Yeah, right now, the backlog PSA.
I'd be surprised. I would say, Bobby, I expect
20%.
there'll be more. There'll be more, but the problem
after
is...
the 9-month cycle.
Yeah, but the problem is that since it does have that holographic piece, the ability to scratch it is tremendous. Like
gotcha.
it's actually very condition sensitive because it has that little hollow foil part and you could scratch that thing like crazy and immediately wrecks the surface and there's your 10 gone. There's your 9 gone. Yeah.
Poof.
So yes, it's possible. I expect there will be more than 122 before it's all said and done, but I wouldn't expect it to boost overnight. Yeah, it'll go up a little bit, but like even if it goes up to 200, I don't think that's enough to really knock it off its pedestal potentially. So we'll see. And the other thing is they got multiple variants of it, right? Like you got the first edition, then you've got a couple of other editions. First edition though is its own deal. It was a first print run. So it's a little bit rarer potentially.
Yeah, my son was opening those. I was buying them for him in that time period. And what did he do with them? Trade them with his friends for other things. So he's still got his McGuire rookie and all that. But the Pokemon's gone.
Pokemon's gone.
Well, the McGuire rookie had 2 different runs. The 98 run everybody knows about, but there was another little run a little while ago when some of those 80s rookies were getting a second resurgence. But I remember how that McGuire rookie went in 98. I remember it made me laugh. And it was such a common card.
Oh, yeah.
But because I literally had a collecting buddy who had collected through the 80s, and he had an entire closet full of he still had sealed 85 Topps wax boxes, plural. And that's at the height of it. And I just laughed. I go, so you going to sell them? And he goes, maybe a couple, but it's like, I find it hard to move from these, but at the same time, it's like, I had it for years and it wasn't worth anything. Now it's worth something because at the height of the McGuire mania with the thing going with Sosa, all of a sudden those cards were off. The wax was going off the charts too, because people were like, oh my God, we got to pull it. I promise a lot of the PSA 10s for that McGuire card came out of the late 90s. If you go look at the population report and the serial numbers, probably a lot of them came out of the late 90s. They probably had a surge back then.
Interesting. Yeah.
Even I have an uncut sheet of McGuire baseball here.
There you go. Yeah, I bought my McGuire many years later. It was a 7.5 BGS. Ooh, big time. I think I paid a king's ransom of $13 for it. It's big time. Let me tell you. It costs more to grade it.
Yeah.
I got my money's worth. I was fine with it. So here, Robert. The Modern Boom pulls up vintage grades. Look what happened to 69 Elsinore. It has historically, and we'll kind of see what happens. But you still have to have
great looking card.
Absolutely.
I love that card.
So here's it's funny. I had the chance to ask Cardboard Chronicles Josh on a live stream if he played. He's a big fan of Pokemon cards, and he didn't. Yeah, no, for sure. There were likely a ton of Charizards in the backlog. Very possible. None of those sets were short printed other than the first edition. Yeah, but we're talking mainly about the first edition because it did have a limited print run comparatively. But yes, but it's 100% true. For the subsequent editions, I wouldn't be shocked. There's tons out there. No doubt. A lot of people played it wrong. Most kids I knew just collected who look cool. The thing is, it's a collectible card game. CCG, that's what it means, collectible card game. So, and it's the same thing with Magic, where you had a ton of people who played, but you had some people who just like the cards. But if you want to have a market, you want to have both. You want to have the people who enjoyed it for playing the game, but then you also want to have the people who collected the cards because it's just like the cards. And that's okay, because it was a collectible card game. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been any functional reason to have a holo. There's no holos if it's strictly for playing functionality. You have the holos because it looks cooler, because it's a little more interesting. It's aesthetically pleasing. Makes it more interesting for the kids. Gives them a chase. It's got to have the collectible element to it, right? Yeah.
So shiny.
But it's got to be. That's got from marketing perspective, you got to have something. You got to have a hook.
Yeah.
If it had just been the cards with nothing else, there's nothing special. There's no special card to pull, no chase.
How's Yu-Gi-Oh doing?
Yu-Gi-Oh? I think I've seen that some have done well. I haven't monitored it too closely. I just don't think because I remember that cartoon from my younger brother watching that as well, and that was a phenomenon for a bit.
It seems to be always on the shelf.
Yeah,
it's like the only thing on the shelf.
It came in later to rival.
True.
It came in later to rival.
And I bought Pokemon, man, and I bought Magic, but I have not broken down and bought Yu-Gi-Oh yet.
You haven't gotten to that level of desperation yet?
And Magic totally bored me. That was boring. Pokemon has a little bit of fun to it, but too many worthless cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, here. So Hockey Guy's filling us in a little bit here. Yu-Gi-Oh still played a ton. I believe that. I know that the cartoon was popular. It definitely had a good run. And I know the game's obviously still out there. They still make the cards, so there is some interest for sure.
Oh yeah.
I know a guy who traveled to play in tournaments, another who plays in a few local shops. I don't doubt it. I'll be honest, like for those games, there's two elements to it, right? There's the collecting element, and then there's also the people who like to play the game. People who like to play the game probably also have the older cards. Maybe they're completing old sets and stuff. They're still interesting to them. If you're interested in it, you're interested in it. But the other thing is, there are some people who enjoy playing the game because they enjoy obviously not in COVID times, but traditionally the social aspect of hanging out, going to the local game store, hang out with your friends who are there regularly, and competing in these little tournaments and these games and stuff.
Drink Red Bull and Monster. Yeah.
And they play until like midnight or 1 a.m. because some of these places will stay open. And they'll sell you the Red Bull. They'll sell you the soft drinks and stuff. And like
candy, yeah.
But like, look, while you're hanging out here, it's a hangout. A bunch of you hang out. And while you're doing this, if it's tournaments and stuff, we're selling you some product too. But it develops a community. And then if you have people constantly around, that used to be the old card shop thing. You used to have the regulars. You had the people who were always around. And sometimes they'd buy stuff. Sometimes they didn't buy stuff. But then the more people you had like that, it also drew in more people because it didn't feel like the place was dead. So sometimes you want, even the people who don't buy anything, you just want people hanging around the shop because it feels more alive. So then when someone comes in, it's like, oh, there's engagement. There's things going on. That's cool. So the one who plays the local shops just pulled a car out of a pack. That's the ultimate rare. And he immediately sold it to somebody else for $55. Yep.
Ooh.
But that's how that's supposed to work, right? An immediate flip. If you don't need the card for your deck or whatever the case is, and you can get $55, that's why I say some of these collectible card games still have the old fashioned value where like you can pull something decent and make your money back or make a little bit of money. The sports card one, you're doomed right now. You're doomed. Like you can open some packs and it's like, actually you pulled a good pull. You still lost money, but you pulled a good pull. That's why I use the scratch off ticket thing. It's like, you won. Okay, great. It was $100 scratch off thing. How much I win? $20. So I still lost $80 is what you're saying, but I get to pretend that I won. All right.
Or it's 100. So,
or even worse, you play a $100 scratcher and you win 80, and then you gotta spend another 40 and wait a year to get the money back.
But
Yeah.
that's why I said. But that's why I say the whole thing with opening boxes. It was supposed. I understood the value proposition aspect of it, but there is one thing to be said when it's the boxes are expensive-ish, but you can still have some fun with it and then make your money back. That's why I use that Prism box example. At the time, I didn't have a particularly good Prism break, but the box was $170. So it's not like I needed to pull the best card to make my money back. I could pull upon a couple of like mid-range, lower tier cards, some cards of some star players, some decent players. I had to work to sell them off. They had to be separate lots. I sold this card, I sold this card. But by the time it was done, I broke even and I still had some of the cards. And the Josh Allen, which turned out to be the best card that I pulled, was in the common box, just thrown into the side. It was an extra. But I had already made my money back years ago. So now it's just gravy. Whatever, if Josh Allen continues to play well and it's great and that card does well, I will sell it at some point. But now I'm ahead. That was possible when the box price was modest. But now at like $1,000 a box is impossible. You can't win.
It's just sad. And what about younger people? What are they supposed to do? You can't even go out and buy opening day baseball anymore, can you? I mean,
No.
it's just ridiculous.
They're out of the hobby now.
That shit was worthless.
Financially.
Yeah,
they can be, but
sad.
I guess it goes back to, and you know what, Brian, I'll bring you into this conversation because I mentioned it to Bobby earlier. I cut my teeth collecting originally with singles or with like the collector kits and stuff. I didn't open packs for a while. Now I enjoy opening packs, but it wasn't the first thing I cut my teeth on. So maybe that's why I'm less attached to it than some. So for some of these kids though, like to me, to Bobby's point, like if it's packs wise and you need that, well, then you're screwed. Then my condolences, you're done. This is over.
Well, if you just open to have fun and just collect the cards like you did, Brian, with yours, and you sent them in because you opened them, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that now. It's like because there's too much of a financial value. Before there's a financial value, but the offset was the investment into your collection of having fun and pursuing something.
Sure.
You know, there wasn't an investment in financial. There was the financial investment, but mentally you're just keeping the cards, so you don't really care about the financial part of it. So.
And overall, cards took a lot more time to become valuable.
Oh yeah.
Now they're just almost instantly valuable coming out of the pack. You know.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So the question that I pose is this: like obviously a lot of other folks did start off with packs as the gateway. The packs was the gateway to get into to it. For the current kids, obviously the packs might not be feasible unless you're rich. If you're rich, then you don't care. Then whatever. Maybe you have kids open packs of the cup. Like here you go, do that. $500 a pack. Go nuts.
Don't worry.
Here's
if
a
you
dozen.
drop them
Go.
on the floor.
Here's a
It's
dozen.
okay.
Go. Pull something nice. Whatever. If that's the case, then that's the case. Good for you. But I still think like if your goal is just to get your kids interested in it, I do think singles still work. Like that's why I say like your kid initially is not going to necessarily, it depends on how old or young they are. Like I can't answer that for you, but if they're really young, they're not going to have a sense of value anyway. And they're probably going to destroy the cards. So why wouldn't you give them the cheapest card you can find? Just get a stack of that. I promise you go to a card shop and be like, hey, can I have like 500 like base cards or something? They could probably put a package together for you for like $10.
Yeah.
Like they'd be just happy to get rid of the singles. They'd just be like, please, no, take them. Or maybe they give them to you for free. They like, if they know it's for like a kid, they're like, here you go. Just take them. Get them away from me.
Yeah. Then they got more room for other stuff to sell.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that's the
Square footage.
So I understand the idea, but I don't have kids, so I have no vested interest in it. I don't care. But I'm saying if your concern is about the kids and they're really young kids and you want to get them interested in it, well then give them cards. They don't have to be valuable cards. They don't have to be.
That's a good
you
point.
can get some nice looking cards, super cheap. Let them play with them, and you know what? If they destroy them, good. Throw them out. Doesn't matter. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't think you should collect cards till, I don't know, till what? You're like 9, 10.
Puberty's really the cutoff point for a lot of people growing up.
Yeah, I think I would have taken, I mean, if I had more protected products at the time, I think I would have protected my cards a lot more.
Sure, could be. I think that's always but that's always one of the things about it is that it always made it. But
But
the
it
other
didn't
thing
matter.
about it,
Maybe not when I was 10 though. Maybe not when I was 10. Maybe I need to take that back.
yeah, but the thing you're forgetting now, Bobby, is that in the modern landscape, it's like at the time they hit puberty, now it's a profit making venture. So no, now it must continue, Bobby.
Mhm.
Now it must continue. We must make the monies. We shall buy and sell. We shall buy and sell the product and
Yeah.
make money. So you see, now it's cool to collect cards because we can make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to shovel anybody's walkway, or you don't have to
That's-
cut anybody's grass.
Hustling.
That is for the commoners, Bobby. We leave that for the commoners.
Hustling.
boy.
Hustling.
That's right. That's right. Rise and grind, Bobby. Rise and grind.
Hustling.
They realize they're not going to get a million hits on their YouTube channel, so they figure cards would work.
Second attempt at it, absolutely. So here, I'll read Hockey Guy's comment here. I used to get the vintage pack things when there was 10 to 15 packs for $20. Yep, where the top 4 packs are good in the bottom and many were awful stuff. Yeah, but as a gateway, like it was okay. Like it served its purpose. There was nothing that exciting about it. Yeah. Endless supply of early 90s score hockey card coming from because they were endless supply. You've answered your own question.
Yeah.
There was no end to the supply. That's what made that era kind of funny is that people thought there was money, but like if you make 5 billion copies of these cards, like how much money can there be?
Yeah.
They weren't rare. And even in high condition, they're not going to be rare. Once if you grade enough of them, I promise you'll find plenty of PSA 10s.
Yeah.
So it's like,
We'll see how much Prism basketball that they print here, I guess.
well, that's really the question. So
That's the question.
Hockey Guy's
Yeah.
alluding to this question here. Even now, there's endless supply. No, there is an end to the supply. It's higher than some people think and less than some people think. But there is an end. The real endless supply was the 90s. I promise. They're still manufacturing it somewhere. I think Bobby's printing some in the back there. If you want some 90s score, he can get you some fresh packs that were made like a
Barry
week
Sanders, anybody? Barry Sanders?
He's a great player.
ago. Exactly.
Great player. Fantastic player.
Fantastic is right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So here, so Ty's just saying, a YouTuber once said collecting is in the blood. You have to be born with it. Yeah, it's a collecting gene, basically. Some people are collectors, some people aren't. Yeah, which is true. I think it's true you can't make a collector. No, you can't. That's kind of been my point the whole time. If they're not interested, they're not interested. You can't make it. You can't manufacture it. A lot of the kids. So when somebody says, "Oh, I see kids at card shows," yes. How many of them want to collect, and how many of them want to make money?
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not judging. That's okay. But what I'm stating to you is that if they're interested in the money, as soon as the money is no longer interested, or they find a different avenue, they're gone.
Yeah. It's
Which
gonna
again,
be
I'm not judging. It's okay.
10 or 20% of them are going to be into it for the sport, and
Yeah.
the rest of them are in it for the money.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
okay. Like, this is the thing. Like, I'm not advocating against it. I'm saying, like, but understand what it is. Don't, like, delude yourself by being like, oh, well, I see them. It's like, they're kids and they're in a card show, so they must be collectors. No, not necessarily. Don't assume.
Yeah.
You know what they say about assuming? There's a lot of assuming in play right now.
Mhm.
Like,
I get
stop with the assumptions. Just stop it.
Yeah.
Let's if you really want to know, then you know what, let's do a little survey. Like, I don't care either way, to be honest with you. It makes no difference to me. But I point out to you, like, if you want to know the truth, well, then you need to ask the real question. Because if they know the value of a lot of their cards, well, then I've kind of got my answer.
Oh yeah. Once they find out that, it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this stage
not
for
daddy's
me,
value.
for me, monitoring the values of a lot of this stuff is sport. I'm not going to ignore it because in the current landscape with the prices of cards, I have to play the game of, hey, self-fund your collection to the best of your ability. That's a tactic. It's a way of continuing your progress here and making happen what you're going to make happen. But at the same time, I'm not so deeply invested in it where if suddenly the whole thing tanked, it's like, okay, I shrug my shoulders and it's like, well, good news is now I can buy the stuff real cheap. So like I lose nothing.
In a slab.
Sounds great to me. Sounds great to me. So if it goes down, sounds great to me. And if it goes up, well, then I have to play the game. But like either way, I'm willing to adapt with this. I'm comfortable adapting to the situation here. But I don't pretend it is more or less than what it is. It is what it is. So Name here wants you to hook him up with some 1990 score. Can you print us some fresh ones, Bobby, and send it over?
Yeah, Square was way past my time period.
Just send us some that are being printed in the back there, Bobby. It's okay.
Yeah, I think I got a couple here somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. So not only were there too many cards made, they all went from pack to protector. Yes, that's why they're worthless. Older cards went from pack to bike spokes and elastic bands. Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the reason why. So we'll use Bobby's favorite
Shoe boxes.
phrase. We'll use Bobby's favorite phrase. Organic scarcity came about at the fact that the cards were worthless. Because the cards were worthless, the kids treated them like they were worthless. And because they were worthless, they were abused. And because they were abused, the surviving population is rare.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult. But as soon as it became valuable, everybody's like, put it in a holder, put it in the penny sleeve, put it in the top loader, put it inside of a holder, protect it inside of a holder, inside of a holder. Today, you put it inside of a graded slab, and then you put a protector on the slab, and then you put the protector of the protector inside of a padded protector, inside of a padded box, in a dark room, inside of a climate-controlled environment, safe, where nothing could possibly happen.
Yep.
So it's like you're not going to get the condition scarcity if something's already in good condition out of the pack. Now, if it's off center or something, you can't fix that unless
Boy, they do a lot of that.
Unless you want to with a really sharp knife and a really sharp cutter. But aside from that,
We'll have to
if
talk
it's
about
already
that.
in good condition out of the pack already, well centered, sharp corners and everything, you could put it in the holder. You're good to go. It's done.
Yeah. That's
I mean, when I was younger, you display them in one thing, and then you get bored with that and move them into another thing, and I mean, you're moving cards all over the place. I know I was.
Yeah.
We shoebox ours.
Yeah.
Put them in a box and you leave them there. And then when you went to trade your friends, you bring them out, or you wanted to play with them, you just brought them out of the box and you put them back. We never really displayed them.
Yeah.
They weren't.
Yeah.
There wasn't a value in that sense to them.
But that's why. But that's part of the reason though I chuckle is that Brian already alluded to it. It's like technically I'm the youngest person on the panel, and usually when I'm having you guys on, that's true. But in some cases, it's only by a couple of years. But the thing is, I'm basically the last generation. It's like, no, literally, I had my cards in a shoebox, in a box that held shoes. It was a box that held shoes. It's not called a shoebox. It was a box that originally held shoes, and then the cards went in the box.
Nothing like when you got a great shoebox. You were
it's like today when I say shoebox, I mean the 1600 count box made of the cardboard. No, I actually mean a box that held shoes previously.
Shoes.
Actual shoes.
Yeah.
I had that. And you know what was the other good one, Bobby? I don't know if you ever thought about this one. Remember the old turtles? The tins? The tins that held the turtles?
Yeah.
You could hold two rows of cards inside of those. Not saying I would know from experience, but I'm saying the turtle tins, guys.
Look it up.
The good things.
Google it.
It fit perfectly fine. Like you could put 2 rows of it in there sideways. Magnifique.
They actually did have the card lockers in the 70s.
For sure. Yeah.
That helped a little bit.
We're not saying that stuff didn't exist, but it wasn't like as prevalent. Like today we know what it is. Today we've got it. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah. But like at the time, like it made logical sense. Later on, then 1600 count boxes, 5,000 count boxes, like obviously. But in the early 90s, it's like, no, the customary shoebox will do.
Top loaders are up 85% over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
1,000 top loaders is going to cost you $230 or something last time I checked.
Well, here's the
funny thing. Insane. That's just nuts.
It's funny you mentioned this because I made a purchase from a hobby store this very week.
Okay.
I paid $110 and there was not a single card involved.
I know.
You were stuck for a while though.
It was penny sleeves and top loaders.
Yeah,
and a couple of one touches.
It is a legitimate cost of collecting.
Absolutely,
absolutely. Cost.
I laugh because it's like I paid $110 from a card store. I didn't buy a single damn card. There wasn't a card involved in this transaction. It was all. I did also pick up one of those Z folios that I like to use. Like you've got it right there. That I keep some of the Medano cards in because because I'll do the different years and then I'll put a label on the side of it for the years. So I keep some of the regular cards inside of those. It's actually very handy to have it. And then
those things are pretty bulletproof, huh?
They're very nice. They're nice for what they are. Now you won't be able to see the back. That's the downside. So if you need to see the back of the cards, then so be it. But if you've got like a rainbow or something with a black border on it, and you put it under the light and stuff, it looks fantastic for presentation. It's actually nice, and you can still take the card out. They're side loading, so you can take it out fairly easily. It's actually very good. And then you can put it right back where it was. It's perfectly fine.
In the penny sleeve.
In the penny sleeve, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so it works.
Yeah, I think I probably spent $500 on supplies in the last year. I would say.
But that's why I laughed. It was like, because
Ridiculous.
part of it was something as simple as penny sleeves. I was like, oh, I'm kind of running low on penny sleeves. So I bought 1,000 penny sleeves with it. I was like, all right, some of these need new penny sleeves anyway, so let me go buy that. All right, throw in some top loaders and then get me one of those Evolios since you happen to have them in stock because they're out of stock. Like I usually will buy them from Amazon and I can still get them, but they'll be like 60 or 70 bucks. And I'm like, they were like 20 or 30 bucks. There's shortage of those too.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's expensive. And I'll tell you what, I can go through 1,000 penny sleeves and top loaders in a heartbeat. That is
Well,
not very many,
if you
really.
open a lot of product, absolutely. But I will say though, like I don't open product. So for me, it's just maybe some of these, like when I got I got a ComC order recently and they were all like reused penny sleeves. Like I look at them and they got like price tags on the back. I'm like, really guys?
All
Yeah.
scratched,
I'm like, all right,
yeah.
I need to replace all these. Like, it's fine. It's okay. It's fine. I'll take care of it. But it's like, really, dudes? Really?
Nice.
One of the Medano cards on the back of it had like a sticker on it from like a previous holder. And it was like, Clark Gillies. And I'm like, this is not Clark Gillies. It's not a Clark Gillies card.
There's a Gilly.
Yeah, I was like, no, bros.
We're
No.
recycling here. Recycling.
I'm waiting for the buyback program on penny sleeves. That'll be the next thing for ComC. I look forward to it.
Hey, maybe I could buy a bunch of used penny sleeves for cheap.
Bros.
You can buy used top loaders.
Listen, I'll give them some of my penny sleeves for a penny. They can have the used
Yeah.
ones for a penny. That's
a
a
penny.
discount. That's a discount today.
It is.
The 1,000 penny sleeves cost me $20. That's 2 sets. That's 2
Wow.
pennies. Not 1 penny. That's 2 pennies.
I was looking the other day, and the cheapest I could find it, and I could only find it in one place, was $22. Everyone else was more like 27 or 30
For what, the penny sleeves?
for 1,000. Yeah.
Really? So I got a good
Real
deal is what
ass.
you're saying.
Yeah.
I should
Yeah,
buy
no,
more.
you got a good deal. This is about, I don't know, 14 days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah, It's
Okay.
expensive. It's ridiculous.
Dang.
I wouldn't buy it. I'm like, forget it. I'll
Yeah.
get it later.
I'm fortunate that my collecting scope is narrow enough where, like, if I need supplies, it's specifically for the certain collections. I don't have to go crazy and go. But if I was buying boxes and opening stuff all the time, like, oh my God, you could go through so much stuff. So
And
quickly.
in hindsight, I mean, I've paid pretty good prices over this last year. I feel like I got pretty good deals. But in hindsight, I should have just went to BCW site and waited. I mean, last summer it was October or something like that, and I would have got them all for cost and would have been happy. And hell, if I would have ordered extra cases, I could have made a little money even. Who knows?
But you know,
I'm not into mailing it though.
But you know how you know where the hobby money lies. Beckett's latest venture was not upgrading its grading. It was not improving its website, heaven forbid. It was not improving the various things that they've done traditionally. No. Their greatest venture recently is, hey guys, we make top loaders now. Really? It's like, yeah, well they've got Beckett. I think it's Beckett Guard. I could be mistaken on the name, but they definitely make some, I think, penny sleeves and top loaders and some stuff. They make some equipment. They make some
Way to stay focused on grading, guys. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. We need to make penny sleeves and top loaders. That's where the money is, Brian. That's where the money is. We need to make some money here. Name's got
get
it.
it.
Dollar sleeves. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Wait until.
I have no idea what Saber ones cost, but they've got to be the most.
See, it's possible that's the case, Hockey Guy, but I hadn't really seen too much about them. Maybe they've done a better job advertising. But I know I've definitely seen them more. They're more in front of my face. Like, I've definitely seen them more. Like, when I went on the Beckett site, I'll see if it's still there. I'll take a look. I haven't looked at it in a little bit, but I definitely saw them more prevalently. So maybe they had it before, but I just wasn't seeing it, which is possible. You know, if that could be the case. But I felt like they did some kind of an announcement to it a little bit more. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Beckett Shield. They're called Beckett Shield. So I wanted to make sure I got that right. So let me see here. So I'll show you guys the ad. I'll blow it up a little bit. But let's take a look here real quick. Yeah, maybe, like I said, maybe I just didn't notice it previously, but I definitely saw it more recently. Like right here, defend your collection with Beckett Shield products. So definitely I've seen them more. Maybe they were doing it before. Maybe I'm wrong. So I could be mistaken. And that's fine. That's no problem.
Interesting.
I saw them once or twice ever on Amazon when looking stuff for Reboot. Fair enough. I'll defer to your memory because I don't remember, but I definitely saw them after. For sure. Maybe, like I said, maybe they saw the opportunity and decided to advertise better. That could be the case as well. Yeah, so Matt, the PSA collector office, semi-rigids. Yes, that's right. It's become its own market. Like, why not? That's not a bad idea. You can make a couple of bucks doing that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like the semi-rigids.
Yeah, I know you're a fan of those. I think they serve a decent purpose. I'm using them right now for that 60 Parker set. Just because I like having a little space
Bigger
on
size,
it. Yeah, I have it for those. And what I'm doing right now is I've got the 4 pocket pages. So I still have it in a binder, but I've got the inside the semi-rigid. They move around a little bit, but obviously I'm not shaking the binder. That's not the goal here. But they're decent for what they are. They're decent for what they are. And it's not a bad way to go about it if you want to have a little space for them. Reaction was weird. Beckett is making sleeves now. That's fair.
Well, they sleeve their cards, so they've been doing that for a long time, right?
No, for sure. But I'm saying like as a commercial product where they're selling it to you. I just hadn't seen it maybe as much before. Like I said, maybe they're making a bigger push on selling it.
They figure they bought enough of them, they could probably sell some.
Yeah, I'm curious now. I'm just checking here. Team bags, card sleeves standard. So what is this? So card sleeves. Are these penny sleeves or what are these?
But I know the top loaders are costing a lot. Like these ones, the 6x9s are just like crazy. But
yes.
Do you know what this wrapper's worth?
This is the wrapper you showed earlier?
Yeah.
So this is an intact wrapper, and you already said there's not a lot of them lying around.
No.
$1,500.
Double that.
3,000. Eh?
About that.
Is this Canadian or American?
I think you could get both.
Okay.
It's nondescript. If you go to American guy and say $3,000, and say Canadian guy $3,000, it's like same thing, right?
I was gonna say that sounds like arbitrage though. It's like buy for 3,000 Canadian, sell for 3,000 American, make some money.
You know, when you're putting the price out there, it's depends who you're talking to.
Right. Okay.
And sometimes with a lot of Canadians, because they're used to the eBay and what have you, I need 3,000 US. Yeah.
Oh my God, this is fantastic. Okay, I gotta show you. I gotta show you guys this. This is gold.
There's a discount.
No. This is great. I want to show you guys this because this is hilarious. I love this. Only Beckett would not notice this. So I want to share it with you while it's still showable. Brian, I think you get a kick out of this. Okay.
Sorry about that. I was
Do a screenshot.
No worries.
What do you got?
Okay, so this is the Beckett Shield card sleeves thing, okay? That doesn't matter too much. Don't focus on that. But I want to show you something specific about this. At the bottom, they have a section for reviews, okay? They got a little section for reviews on the product, okay. But I quickly scanned the review and it made me laugh. It's a 5-star review, by the way.
Ooh.
But stay with me. Okay, down here, customer feedback. I only receive... I guess it's 2 packs or 10 packs of 100 sleeves when the one item ordered. It said 15 packs of 100 sleeves per box. What you charge me is ridiculous. I would like the order filled correctly. Please call David Ratchie. Very unhappy about this. 5-star review. Don't include your phone number on there. I would recommend against it, sir.
Yeah.
You're right. Oh my God.
Oh, that's horrible.
It'd be a nightmare.
But that's a 5-star review. Very unhappy about this. As soon as I saw it, I was like, wait, this is great. Hold on. I need to share this with the people.
5 stars so they don't come after me.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Here we go. I hate don't buy back a slabs because I hate the look with the penny sleeve. Yeah, it does dull out the card, I will say. The penny sleeve is not a terrible idea because it does offer protection. If you do ever open the slab, you've got it inside of a protective sleeve, which is good. And it is nice, so it keeps it from rattling around. That's good. But it does dull out the card, where if it's a card that maybe has a reflective surface, it takes a little bit of the edge off, and it's like, well, it kind of defeats the point that this card is neat because it's got the reflective surface, but you're dulling it out with the holder.
And why does I'm sorry, Bobby. Go ahead, Bobby.
No, I was just talking the penny sleeves. You know, they really dull it, and then you put it in a top loader on top of that. It's just double dull. When you put it in your cards, your 60, 61s in the other, aren't they that much better?
I think they work pretty well because the whole thing with the 60 Parkers is that they've got bright, vibrant colors. So you want them in something that will show it off reasonably well, but you still want protection. You still want the protection.
Yeah.
So it's like, because I'm not collecting it in high grade, but I'm collecting it in like a mid-tier grade. So I'm not getting the most beat up copies. It's like, I still want a nice looking card. So I would still like to be reasonably protected.
Sure.
So it's a good middle ground.
Why does PSA let the card bounce around in there?
I think it's just the
summer
original
trim, maybe.
Yeah, it's the original idea. The original idea of the holder. I ignore Bobby's sly comments, but the thing is,
it was a good comment.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not objecting. But the thing is that So you can make the argument both ways, right? So on the one hand, the internal sleeve, like I said, dulls out the card. It disrupts the view of the card. Theoretically, if you've got an ultrasonically sealed thing and you've got it crystal clear, then there's minimal amount of things between you. The problem is if you make the holder and there's play, like it can move around, well, then you could potentially damage the card while it's in the holder, which is not a great thing. It's actually
It's
really
not a
kind of
great
a bad
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's there's a decision to be made here, and there's pros and cons to both. You got to be real careful when you choose to do that. So I'll include names.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I'll include names comment on here. Okay, I'll be right back in 2 seconds, guys.
All those really cheap penny sleeves. I remember those. Those are the ones that the guy would carry, and he'd be almost out of penny sleeves or out, and you'd be going, I'll grab those ones. They look fine. And you get them, and they're just like, they're almost like a cello, thin cello. Or,
yeah, they were so bad. Yes.
And you go, and then you bought 100 of them, so you're gonna go, now I gotta deal with 100 or just throw them out.
I'm gonna go put my worst commons in these things or something.
Yeah, I know. That's what would happen.
It's been done before. That's why I say it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I don't have much call for supplies, but I get more into the top loaders. I guess the larger 6x9s, 11x12s, just for the more memorabilia side of things that I collect. So the penny sleeves, I use the other things here too. These are really the best ones I find. The semi-rigids, the Ultra Pro.
Yeah, that's the Saber one, right? Or are those is that a bigger size?
Oh, it's the larger size, yeah.
Yeah.
Opposed to the traditional size, so it's a very big size. Put a card, there you go.
Yeah, those are nice. Those are nice.
Yeah, they are, and they're very easy to get your card in and out of without damaging it and putting softly. So, I love them more than these ones because you can look at the dullness if you can kind of see.
I know exactly which. I hate it when it's dull. It's like, man, I mean, you want to be crystal clear and nice, and you think that they could make something even more higher end that wouldn't scratch as much, but I don't know. I guess it's cheap, and when you just switch them out and throw them away.
And then you put it in that.
But it's bad for
so much nicer.
If you're going to make a crappy product and you're going to end up, that looks so much nicer. And you're going to end up throwing stuff away. That's not good for our landfills, right?
Oh, I don't think we talk about landfills when we're talking about cards and sleeves.
Oh,
and what have you.
Excellent. It's probably pretty good policy.
It's not a carbon footprint subject we should be talking about, should it?
I was about to say, remember when we went back to the conversation about, we're talking pieces of cardboard that in reality don't need to exist, and then we got plastic holders for pieces of cardboard that don't really need to exist. Look, if nothing else, you can complain as much as you want about the stupid NFTs, okay? But here's the deal. If for some reason we go to NFTs, it'll be the most environmentally friendly version of collecting we'll have ever had. Because at least there's nothing. At least there's nothing.
It might be the real reason why we're moving that way.
Yeah.
That's the underground movement.
Exactly.
I bought a lunchbox today.
Lunchbox.
Let's see. What do you got?
Oh, it's got the Atlanta Flames too. Look at you.
That's cool.
Well,
hold on, I got it.
You can see there.
That's super
And you got the Colorado Rockies, okay, and the Cleveland Barons. So that couldn't have been a long run as far as
North Stars.
2 years for the Cleveland Barons.
Yeah, I was about to say, there wasn't much of a run for some of those teams, including the Barons particularly. Yeah.
Yeah. What year is that?
Well, we'd be 76, 77.
Yeah, cool.
78. 76, 77, 77, 78 is the 2 years that the Cleveland Barons were in there. So we can pretty much identify that.
Yeah, that was the reason why I kind of keyed in on those teams, because those particular defunct teams didn't have particularly long runs.
And here's the difference.
Yeah, I don't remember them. So
this is a lunch box, and the other long ones with the handle are lunch pails. Those are the difference. I always tell people. They go, "Oh, that's a lunch box." Yeah.
Does that one have the thermo inside?
And that's a lunch pail.
No, it didn't. But it's very clean. It's beautifully clean.
Oh, that's cool. That's
I
cool.
think for 77, it's pretty good.
No, I think for that year, especially, I would say so because those things would have gotten beaten up if they'd have been in use.
Yeah, the handle's
Oh, yeah.
missing, and there's cracks everywhere. Like kids could just grab it and put it down. And
Oh, we used to bowl those things, man. You can see
Yeah.
how many you could smash into the other ones.
I was going to say, absolutely.
Man, come on. I could make those things explode when I was a kid. Boom.
So, okay, here's a good question. Maybe you've got some recollection on this, Bobby. How were top loaders marketed when they were new?
Interesting.
when they first came in, well, in 85 or 86, I think it was 86, they started advertising the pages.
Okay.
Top loaders didn't come in till much later, to be honest. They weren't. It wasn't. You had sports card shops. That's when in the 90s. Yeah, but I mean,
early 90s. Yeah.
Early 90s. I don't remember there being. It was just. I think we just used to put it in the sleeve without the penny sleeve. It was just kind of these things.
There was definitely a lot of that. Like I'm trying to remember because that was right in my wheelhouse. But at the same time, like I said, I started with the collector kits, so I was kind of like pages would have been what I started with.
What about?
No, at the beginning it was just the binder and the pages. Like that's all I got. I got binder and pages. You didn't get the individual holders. I would think that would have come not long after, but it would have been a little bit later. But at the very beginning, it was just kind of pages and binder.
I might have some top loaders from like the first year ever. Maybe are they valuable now?
Well, this conversation,
Brian, if you send them to COMSI, you should negotiate for a better rate on a Gen 1 top loaders. They've got a trade-in program and be like, guys, these are Gen 1. These are first edition. First edition.
That's right.
Money.
Primo. Very rare. Very rare.
My God. So Sanderson Nora says, in my opinion, earlier PSA slabs were worse when it came to cars moving around. That's true. Generation 1 ones were a little bit worse with that. I don't mind it be as much of a problem. I think they've gotten better with the insert because the insert's the thing. It's where you've got the spaces and the gaps to hold the card in position. I know some of them have definitely gotten better. For sure. It also depends on the card though, because the card thickness is also a factor because if they use one that has a little bit more play, it gets a little bit tricky. So Brian, you need to put them in a loader and the Spirit Fit team bags doesn't get scratched. Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
I need to work something out.
What about the superfluous packaging some products have? True. That is fair.
Oh,
God.
Fair.
So Bobby, you can put a sticker on the tab and write on those if one felt that was necessary. Okay. I think that's on the on your semi-rigids.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah. Jim Oz was so sure there was a bologna sandwich in the lunchbox.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good.
Spam.
Spam.
Good old spam. See, you can have spam or you can have luncheon meat. Basically the same thing.
It's pretty much, it's
basically.
And bologna. And, it's like the Italians made up mortadella. Just say, hey, it's bologna.
You're referencing more. The best part is you reference mortadella and a comment is coming up that's going to reference it as well. What a coincidence. Mortadella. What a coincidence. Mere moments from now.
So we're talking provolone and mortadella sandwich.
Yeah, Brian is rookie year top loaders. True. Yeah. True. Okay, so there we go. So I got a comment from Mr. Bob Lewis here in a second, but this was the one I was talking about. Try a mortadella sandwich, Bobby. Like, look at it. Literally, as you said it, the comment came in.
Italian bologna.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mr. Bob Lewis joining us this evening. As social media influencers fade out of the hobby every day to day over time, how do you see that impacting the hobby popularity? Well, I don't know, Bob. As a social media influencer, how do you feel that if you fade out of the hobby, does that impact the hobby popularity?
Well, the people that are fading out, aren't they replaced? So there's no attrition, really. I guess it's just people coming in and people going out.
Let's legitimately answer the question here. By the way, Bob, you have the link. You could have posed the question yourself, face to face, face us. But anyway,
it takes a little bit longer to explain it, but yeah.
Thanks for popping in. But anyway, so social media influencers. The thing is, though, social media influencers only relevant right now because people are paying attention because people are looking for quote unquote authorities. And right now it doesn't take much to be an authority.
We know that.
The bar's low. So it's like, because I've seen enough stuff where it's, and by the way, I'm not knocking them. There's an opening. There's a market, so to speak. So people pop in.
Oh, I remember this styrofoam. Sorry.
The hobby's full of authorities.
There is. But the thing is, like, guys, the reason that a lot of these guys work is that, and And I see Bob's comment. I'll get to it in a second. But the thing is that the reason why it works for them is that right now the ones who are personable, who have a certain personality type, or people like, and they seem friendly. That's the bar. It's like, well, does it sound like they know what they're talking about, or the greatest cop out is like, I'm just learning like you guys. Well, fine, but then why are you hosting?
Yeah.
If you're learning, you should be listening, not talking.
Exactly.
I'm not knocking it, but I just want to make clear, if you're learning, then you're listening, not talking. And if you're making content, then you're trying to talk when you should be listening. So do it if you want to, but you can't have it both ways. And you can't use because you don't want to be called an authority, because then all of a sudden you get called out as soon as you say something wrong. You're saying, oh, I'm learning. Well, then if you're learning, why are you talking? You should be the one in the comment asking the question, not the one hosting the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't care. At the end of the day, it makes no difference to me. But I'm just making clear, like, if you're in the process of learning, I spent a long time in the hobby learning. And when I was doing the learning, I was exclusively listening.
Yeah.
I could talk just fine, but I spent all that time listening before I got to the point at which I started doing the talking.
Yeah.
And that takes time.
Mm-hmm.
We can accelerate the process with the internet. It's a lot quicker today. You can get ramped up and up to speed a lot faster because you can absorb all this information from all these places. But that doesn't mean, this means there still has to be the period. And if you're at the beginning of the journey and you're already producing content, well, then you're trying to talk before you have the ability to actually say anything.
Walk before you run, right?
And that happened a lot last summer, at the end of last summer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And content has really slowed down, and the quality of content and the quality of new content is really getting to be non-existent across the board.
That's the problem, is we need more people making podcasts so you can have new guests on your show all the time.
Well, listen, if enough people make new podcasts, then you can have
self-sustaining.
Yeah, exactly. You need it.
It is.
So sorry, I didn't touch on it as well. I think the styrofoam lasted quite a while, because I remember some blasters with styrofoam into the 2000s. Like there was a lot of that. But I definitely remember it. You're 100% right, Hockey. 100% Hockey. Correct. So here, name says, when it comes to spam and luncheon meat, it all depends on whether you want to spoil yourself or not. Yes. Do you get the name brand spam, or do you settle for the luncheon meat?
Well, we got the canned ham up here. You know that. You ever seen the canned ham?
The deviled ham? Deviled ham?
Ham. K-A-M. H-A-M.
Oh,
it's been around for 30 years or something like that. Still around. It was the higher end of the spam.
Gotcha. Okay. Depends on how mystery you want your meat to be. Yeah.
It's kind of weird because it's sort of like taste. You know, we used to fry it when we were kids up the cottage, and we'd fry it and have it on English muffin. It was just for breakfast. It was amazing. And then as you get older and you get a little bit more mature with your tasting, it's just like, I eat that stuff. Wow.
Now, here's the best part in the great culinary tradition. You know who's a big fan of spam and luncheon meat? Carlos Senior. I got a bunch in the cabinet right now. I can make some spam. I can make some luncheon meat or spam right now if you want, Bobby. I'm usually too lazy to cook it, but if you want, I can make some.
we need smell-o-vision if you're going to do that.
I know, exactly.
We need smell-o-vision.
Listen, Bobby's elitism. Ignore Bobby's elitism. Spam and luncheon meat, they're fine. They're fine.
Hey, I had a can of beefaroni for dinner tonight because I just wanted something quick. It's interesting. I had we were talking about authorities and what have you. I was doing some research on the 50s Murray's potato chips. These cards are very rare. There's Stan Makita and a few other ones in there. So I'm doing some research, and I come across a Beckett article written March 1st, 2021. And I start reading it. I go, oh, hey, okay, I'll read this. So I start reading it, and they go, finally, we can, because there's two different cards within the set. I don't know if you can see that.
Okay, hold on. I'll make it a little bigger here. Okay, so we can sort of see what specifically we're looking at here.
Murray's potato chips is right down here.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Now you got to lift it up. Lift it up. Okay, right there.
What? Oh, down.
Now we got the right up. Yeah, right there.
There you go.
So 56, 57 Murray's. It's a little blurry, but I can see it. You know, TP cards. Gotcha.
Yeah, it was the St. Catherine's TPs.
Okay.
So I'm reading this article, and it's really kind of funny. It's written by Al Muir Beckett, and I'm sitting there going, oh, and then he says, oh, now we can finally, after decades, we can finally put the date at 19 56, 57. And I went, you just wrote that? Like, it's been in my book for 6 years, 56, 57, because it was always thought as 57, 58. And you just,
but question in the article, what was his reference then?
well, because there's two different cards. There's these red based cards and the black based cards. So, you know how easy it was to find is look up when they played, and basically they all fit into the same year.
No, I got you. But let me pose a question because
I know
this
ago.
is a big source of frustration for you. But let me pose the question here: does Al have a copy of the book? Do you know?
He should. Beckett does. Beckett has a copy. Sure.
Beckett, I get you. But what are the odds he just didn't look it up?
Al's he's been there for like 30 years. So
that part I understand, Bobby. But I've worked in enough places where we have resources available, and the people who are there the longest are the ones who read the least.
Probably.
I'm just being honest. Like, I'm just using as a general thing. Whenever I needed to know what to do in a lot of those places, I would never go to the one who's been there the longest because they've rested on their laurels 25 years ago. It's like, because I'd walk over and I would go, it's like, this is the longest tenured one, right? You're literally the worst one. You just know how to keep your job, and that's about it. Like, you're just coasting over here. Okay, fine, whatever. Sure. Great.
Well, when I wrote for Beckett, I wrote for them for about a year. And Al was back then, and he was going, we're always surprised at what Bobby wrote. And I said, yeah, because you don't know nothing. And now he writes his article. And I said, come on, Al. Come on, guys. Come on, Beckett. What are you doing? You got your grading screwed up, and you've got your articles all screwed. If you're going to do one vintage article every few months, make sure it's a good one. Mm-hmm. Pick up my book. Plagiarism is okay, because if you buy the book, you paid for the information in there. Use it. Mm-hmm. My God. And these are the authorities.
No, I got you. The only reason I posed it is like, I'm not just posing it to be tongue in cheek and snarky, although I am.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
But I'm posing it in a serious thing though, because it's a real thing that you'll have folks that are there because I literally took a course when I was doing my undergrad in history. That was called Historical Methods. It was a course that was specifically about researching history. Specifically, it was 100%, and it was taught by the dean of history. So he takes his business seriously. He understood it, and we had textbooks on historical, monograms, how to understand like primary sources, secondary sources. And here's the thing: it was a good course, but it's basically how to research effectively. Yeah. It's like how to treat the sources, but you got to actually want to do the work because it's work. It's a lot of work to research something properly. Forget about citing, but it's a lot of work.
Well, I think that's what's going on out there is everybody looks on the internet and how wrong is Wiki? It's horrible.
For sure.
Wikipedia is just awful. And everybody copies the same information from one site to the other site. Keeps going on and it never stops. It's a perpetual error in humanity. There's so many wrong things and they just keep repeating it and it becomes truth.
No, for sure.
It's sad.
Yeah, but I just give that context just so people understand that there's literally people who will study how to do that, which tells you that there's more to it than read the book. Okay, well, there's a little more to it if you want to take it to that depth. But if at the very basic level, fine, read the book. So real quick, hold on a second. Let me grab a couple of things here. Bob, if you want, if you're good, do you want me to? Okay, cool. Good evening, Mr. Lewis.
Bob Lewis.
How's it going?
What's up, Bob?
So I guess I need to do. Do I need to do this?
There you go.
Oh.
Look at you. Yeah. All good. How's it going?
Doing well, man. Was just kind of sorting through my player collection and adding to my checklist.
Is this the Austin Meadows one?
It is. I'm nearing 500 unique. So
look at you.
Cool.
Oh boy.
Well, I was celebrating my own milestone that'll officially happen tomorrow, but it already happened. 2,000 unique Medanos. So that was it's taken me 26 years to get to that one.
Wow.
Huh.
I've been working on it since '95. I've been chipping away. The last couple of years have really been much more aggressive, but I've been chipping away at it.
Yeah.
And the bulk of that is playing days, right?
Yeah. Oh, easily the bulk of it. Yeah. For sure.
Significantly. Right.
There's some newer stuff that I think is cool, but I'm really picky about the newer stuff because it's like, no, it's got to be cool. There's so much new stuff that they just make bulk of it, but it's kind of lame. It's just not fun.
Now, in a lot of shots, I gotta say, Carlos, and I'm a Madonna fan,
Mhm.
love Madonna, but in a lot of his pictures, he looks a lot like Napoleon Dynamite.
That could very well be, yeah.
It's just true, man. It's just
Yeah.
true. I'm a big fan, but it makes me giggle.
But in fairness, though, you got to
though.
consider the time period as well. So is it that he looks like Napoleon Dynamite, or is it that Napoleon Dynamite looks like
Dynamite,
Medano?
yeah.
I was gonna say because he's
Touché.
been around longer.
Yeah,
We got to give it to him. I'm sorry, his track record says he goes back further.
That's true.
But
You're right.
I can accept it either way. Listen, I vote for Pedro. It's fine.
Yeah, it just makes me giggle.
Yeah. No, that's fair. It's fair. Listen, it's all good. But I just want to make sure we get the timing right. We got to get the sequencing right, guys. We got to get the sequencing right.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So Medano has about 5,600, 5,700 cards, and about 4,000 playing days, like 3,900 and change. So it's a lot.
There's a lot of people who don't collect past the playing days.
It's one of those things. It's a decision.
Because it never ends, I guess.
It doesn't. It doesn't. But it's a decision you can make. I don't want to reject post-playing days because I think there's some good stuff they come up with. I think there is some cool stuff they'll make that is interesting to me. But I will be pickier. I won't just get anything.
I think that's the one like door that they leave open. If there's like such a cool card that has come out post-playing days that, why wouldn't they go after it? If that's their
Exactly.
guy?
Because it's like I feel like then I'm rejecting a lot of fun stuff because in the text thread I put in my newest acquisition, the one that I picked up. So I'll show you guys just as an example. But this is one that would qualify as post-playing days. So if I disqualified that, then it's no good. I can't have it. But it's one of those ones where it's like I still think it's worthwhile to me. I'm all right with it. So let me see if I can do this here. Window here.
Does Madonna have a PMG?
Nope.
Okay.
Not during his time.
Gotcha.
So this right here is emblems of endorsement. So this is from the cup. And this is a 2013, 2014 card. So this was a couple of years post-playing days. But that's game used piece. And that's on card autograph, number to 15.
Beautiful.
So it's a great card. And I like the patch pieces they chose. Like it's a good combination of things. I like the colors. I like a lot of what they came up with. But, if I stuck to playing days, then this is out. Now, great. It saved me some money, so I couldn't complain about that. But at the same time, it's like, I think it's a cool card. And I'm happy to add the piece. So to me, like, I'm cool with it.
It's a good looker.
Do you find it that the
Well balanced.
post-playing day cards almost, they have to sort of up their game a little bit and develop cards like that? So there's no real cheap post-playing day cards. Is that true?
I'll be honest with you. Medano's been at it so long. Upper Deck's definitely produced some cheap looking cards. There's been something
Even
like,
after
you
the fact.
guys are mailing this in, guys. You're mailing it in so hard. This year's The Cup was like a perfect example for me. Like they had some limited cards in there. I'm like, these suck.
I don't keep up with enough with that high-end hockey stuff. Like, what makes it suckier than last year? Like
Design.
From previous
It's
years?
design. Because at the end of the day, the components, they've done them already. An autograph card, I personally have, and I keep track of those counts separate from the main count. So 2,000 cards plus regular cards, period. I think I'm at almost 180 certified autographs.
Wow.
So approaching 200 certified autographs, just certified autographs. And then memorabilia cards, over 400. Pushing 500 memorabilia cards. So like every combination possible, every type of memorabilia card, every type of patch card, stick card, whatever you got, puck card, done it. So now all that's left is, can you make something that's aesthetically interesting? That's it. That's all that's left. Because if it's a cool design, okay. Because otherwise it's like, oh, I got an autograph card. I got almost 200 of those. Memorabilia card. I got pushing 500 of those. Like,
It's got to be really sweet.
one. You got to come up with something cool. If you put it together in a visually interesting combination or it looks nice, it's like, okay, good. I can work with that.
You need
But,
variety.
Yeah. You got
Keeps
to
your
come up with
collection
something.
going. So here's an American question.
Go for it.
Which candy bar should I eat? Bob?
Snickers.
Should I have an arrow?
I would lean Snickers if you have it.
Arrow? Or should I eat a crunchy?
Oh my gosh.
So,
Now, do you guys even know what those chocolate bars are?
The arrow, I know for sure.
Not you. You're Canadian.
I
I'm
have never seen them.
unfamiliar with
I've
these.
never.
Never
It's.
saw them.
I just sent my friend in Minnesota a whole bunch of things that he hasn't seen before. So he got them, and he's trying these. He goes, "Oh my freaking god, where have these been all my life?" I said, "They're around." I sent about 8 different ones. So
Now the crunchy is from Cadbury, isn't it?
it's a Cadbury, and actually it's
Yeah.
a sponge toffee covered in chocolate. You know, the
Well, I
old
like-
sponge toffee kind of, yeah, the hard stuff. And then the Arrow bar, it's a chocolate bar with bubbles.
Yeah, I think
Textural.
if you get
It came out in 1949.
anyone
It's
with
been
a
around
little bit
a long
of
time.
texture to it is a little bit more interesting. I've always been a big. I like Coffee Crisp. I love Snickers.
They don't
but
know what coffee crisp is either.
No, I get you. Just trust me. If I say the word crisp in it, there's a wafer in it. Just roll with it. Just roll with it. Crisp
Unless
is your
potato
hint.
chips.
Crisp
Then
is your
it's-
hint. Just crisp is your hint. Trust me
Yeah.
on this. Solid. Real good. Solid. Take my word for it. Solid.
Hmm.
Anyways, just thought that was
Quickly, I'll
interesting.
grab a couple comments here. So I wonder if he said that or his mom did. You're thinking Luka Doncic. Also a
Yes.
Dallas athlete, but that's a different one.
Thinking Luca.
Good try, though. I like it. How many one of one? So actually, I feel bad about this because I kind of want to put together the count. I don't know. I actually don't remember because it's one of those things where I would accumulate and pick up one of one cards. And I've definitely picked up more the last couple of years for sure. I've definitely bumped up that number. I remember the first one of one I ever got. And I actually sold it a couple of years later. Because it's one of those things where Be a Player Ultimate made so many that it was a little bit less exciting for me. So I had to go look at it. So it's like, it'll be tough. So we'll have to kind of see.
So you have 30 or 40 or 20?
It's got to. It's definitely double digits. I would think it's probably closer to 20 than 30, but I would guess it's in that range. That would be my guess. I actually am curious because I've been asked that question before. And it's like, okay, maybe I should count. Maybe I should check.
And how many aren't Be a Player?
I've got a bunch that aren't. So it's one of those things. I tried to avoid just getting the Be a Player ones because I felt like there were too many. So I went intentionally to go look for other ones if I could, as much as I could. So Overshadow's credit from the issues the cup are hideous. Agreed. Yep. Coffee Crisp bars are amazing. I was always a big fan of them. Miss Coffee Crisp gluten insensitivities. Fair enough, Paul. So Madana's mom signed his fan mail for a long time. It could be possible. I'll be honest with you though. I've had now if her autograph is a dead ringer for his, then it's got to be a lot of practice. I've had in-person autographs. I've had a lot of the different ones. If she's managed to master it, then so be it. Then I guess we'll never know for sure. But I can tell you that I've had in-person autographs that I've personally had signed, and it's very consistent. It is a very consistent autograph over time. So I would guess
Can you tell the difference between the mothers?
And he has a nice looking signature too. It looks good.
It's one of those things where the signature's written out. It's a full name. It's first and last name. So
yeah, of course.
So like that helps. So I'll be honest. If that's the case, then I guess it's close enough that none of us can really tell the difference. Because you'd have to see enough. Let's put it this way. I got 200 samples where it's very consistent. So either Medano signed all of them, his mom has signed all of them, or she has perfected it and I can't tell the difference, which is possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the telltale signs of the signatures are pretty consistent across the board. They have been over time. So that would make it even harder.
I've noticed from I know of some Barry Bonds collectors, and I know some Mark McGuire collectors that they reference their autographs changing over time. Earlier they tend to sign full names earlier in the career, and then they do an abbreviated version later.
Yep.
Do you notice that too? I mean, that Madonna's autograph has changed.
There's definitely you can definitely see telltale signs of evolution over time. And the thing is, almost everybody's signature has that, because this is one of those things where, like, I haven't done too much study into it, but I've definitely looked into it a little bit here and there. Because, like, just imagine, I'll give you two contrasting examples. My dad and I have the exact same name when we sign. We're both Carlos Alcazar, and we're both Carlos L. Alcazar. So our first three names are identical. The difference is the fourth name. So when I had to sign my mortgage papers, I had to sign all four legal names on every single thing, which is misery.
That is misery.
It's misery. So I have to sign four names on everything. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So, because the only difference is that I'm Carlos Luis Alcazar, and so is my dad, but he's Perigo, French name, ironically, and I'm Quintero. So that's the difference between the two. But otherwise, the names are the same. But what happens is when Carlos Sr. signs his name, and he can replicate it over and over and over again. I see, because it looks like a scribble. It's a C and a scribble. But he can match that scribble again and again and again. And I've seen it. I'm like, how? My signature is my name. You can actually read it. It's legible. You can see that it says Carlos and it says Alcazar. But there's certain characters and letters that are going to have a certain flair that I can replicate over and over again. But that's the way a signature has to be. It has to be certain things. But my C, I write it less of a cursive C and more of like a regular printing C is what I would call it. That's my style. That's not going to be everybody else's. Some people will do the curl and do a cursive thing, whatever. It depends on whatever you are. I can tell you that on Medano, the M has changed a couple of times. Sometimes it's a harder M, like it's a line, and sometimes it's a more looped M. So that's a variation I've seen. So that's just an example, and I can only speak to it because I've seen so many versions.
Some of these autographs.
That's how hard it is to identify autographs. That's why it's so hard. That's the kind of subtlety you're looking for. How does the M look?
Some of these athletes' autographs are so ugly. How
Most.
it looks like they're in first or second grade. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Have some pride, buddy.
Yeah. But that's the reason why I use that. That's the reason why I use that specific story and that analogy. My dad and I have the same name. Our signatures could not be mistaken for each other in a million years. We're both writing the same name. So what does that tell you? So because he's got his style and he's very comfortable with it. He's been doing it since he was a kid, going on, 60 years doing it that way. And I've been doing it my way, going on 35, 36 years since I was writing. But when I was in school, you still worked cursive.
Yeah.
So for me, like cursive still makes sense. My first letter is the printing style, but the rest is cursive because that's the style I'm comfortable with. So I'll make my capital letters that way, but I'll do that every single time.
I do the same exact thing.
Yeah. So as long as there's a consistency, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's consistent. It's when you get those weird variations like, okay, so today I feel like doing it and I'm left-handed. So I will always write it in a certain way. Where if I was right-handed, I might do it a little differently. There are these slight variances. Jim Oz doesn't want you to throw away the chocolate bar wrappers. Apparently keep the wrappers. I don't know.
I used to have a large wrapper collection from the 20s, 10s, all the way up to the 70s. And some of those 70s wrappers, the generation, the baby boomers, the X-gens, the old chocolate bar wrappers, people are paying big money for them.
Hey, nostalgia's nostalgia, Bobby. People love the old Canadian Tire money.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I work for that organization. I know.
Mm-hmm.
So Name here is talking about Jordan Tutu. And I know what he's talking about. Now, I don't know about the 3 versions. He would be better versed because he collects the player. But yeah, there's definitely so to Bob's point, a lot of times the player in the rookie year will write it a certain way. And then it'll change over time and get truncated and maybe get shrunk as they get bored about signing. And they just start shrinking it. And it's like, originally, in the old days, if you got a Bob Lewis signature, you got the whole Bob Lewis, maybe Robert Lewis, you got the whole thing, Esquire, PhD.
Robert Louis Stevenson.
And then you just get B. Lou. Yeah.
Yeah. And now at this point, you just get B. B. It's like, what? There's no last name. B. That's it. That's all you get.
It's a nice B though.
Yeah, but so what's going to happen though is that one of these days, he's going to have another kid now, so he's going to run out of energy. At this point, now it's just going to be an X. No, he's just going to sign everything with an X. Whatever.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, that's all you got.
It's numbered to 25, so.
Nice. But I do think it's a fair point. And I think I included Sanderson's comment here. Best auto he's seen is Ken Hodge. Fair enough.
Ken Hodge. I love Mariano Rivera's auto. That's one of my favorites.
It's pretty clean. He is a trader and a questionable Hall of Famer. Honestly, like a 47th ballot, I think. At best. Oh, he's a closer. It's not like he's a real player. But the point is, from signature wise, though, very clean. I will say very clean signature. Very clean.
Yeah.
Some people have better penmanship than others.
I think though, in all seriousness, it depends on. It depends on when you grew up. It depends on where you grew up, and it depends on how important it was. Because, like I said, I was still of the age where you still did practice cursive in school. You still had it. It was real. You had the little book where you had the letters, and you had to repeat the letters. Now, as soon as people I will say, I have challenges sometimes because you just don't write as often. So I go out of my way, even when I'm in meetings, I'll go out of my way to write my notes on a pad of paper with a pen, because it forces me to and I write these in cursive. I don't write it in printing. I write it in cursive. And when I say printing, I'm talking about the block letters. I'm not talking about cursive. I call handwriting cursive. To me, it's interchangeable. But if I say handwriting, it can create confusion. So I'll say cursive, just to be clear.
Yeah, I'm block letters.
Yeah, and that's okay. But it's one of those things, whatever somebody becomes comfortable with and whatever works for them. Cursive still works for me. I'm still comfortable with it. I can do it. But it's a practice. It's a lost art where as soon as you stop doing it, it's done.
Well, I ship a lot of things, so I write them by hand. So that's why the block letters. Walks away, but he's still coughing. He's got his microphone on.
Yeah.
We heard everything, Brian.
Did you?
Yeah. No, your volume was still on.
All right.
Yep.
I knew we were getting cookies. We could hear the bag. Bloody Oreos.
Mega stuff.
Oh my God, he's gone high.
Double stuff. I like the golden ones. They're really
Look
good.
at this guy.
That's my favorite.
I worked out hard today. I earned my cookies.
Look at you. All right, so Bob, question for you. So slowly you're approaching child, I think number 47. So I think I could be off by a couple, but close. So so when you go from little sleep to negative, what's your plan for that?
I don't know that you can have a plan for that. The sage old advice is you sleep when the baby sleeps. So we'll see how that works out. But
Interesting.
at the same time, when the baby's sleeping, I also feel like that's the only free time that I will have. So
Yes, basically, yes.
yeah, so I'll have to balance that out on a case by case situation. So sorting I'm currently I'm trying to I've got a pile for just about every baseball player that I can muster up that is worthy of their own section of cards, and that's kind of that's been my undertaking as of late. Trying to get as much done in the next 3 or 4 weeks, because it may be limited in the near future.
I was about to say, it's like, so as a YouTube sports card Hall of Famer, do you think this could potentially hinder your output, which has been prodigious lately by comparison to your previous standards of maybe once a year?
Right. I'm trying to, what I'll need to do is just stockpile a bunch of videos. I'll be talking about things relevant in April and posting them in July. And then.
Oh, this could be one of those situations where you just go in and you're just like, so guys, listen, I have some thoughts on insert event that happened here. You just block off your mouth and you're just like, dub it later just to be like.
Yeah, I'll be talking about how well Otani's doing, and then by July he'll be on the IR again. So who knows?
But that's why you do the dubbing. You go insert event that happened here, and it's like, so guys, I want to talk about Otani and how his limbs exploded.
Right.
And then you're like, how is Bob so topical? That's so interesting. Why does he keep having his hands to his mouth, though, every single time he says, like, the topical thing? It's so weird. And wasn't he wearing that same shirt and that same hat in the last video 6 months ago? That's so bizarre.
That's so weird.
Sometimes there's a little spit up stain and sometimes not.
Yeah, strange. So strange.
If people are really paying attention to the shirts I'm wearing, I underestimate my viewership tremendously.
Well, Bob, it's only like there's 5 videos a year, give or take. It's like at that point they're analyzing it like the Zapruder film. They're going frame by frame. They got enough time. They could just watch it as many times as required to analyze it.
Right. And just the turning the hat front and back, that gives another illusion that this is a different video.
Well, at that point, I don't know if you ever use any editing in it. I don't think so. Not that I've seen. Like, do you have any editing capabilities over there?
So no.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Let's just
If
say
you
no.
did though, what I would do is I would insert frames with like the dude randomly.
Yep.
Like just have him appear like behind you for like a couple of frames and then have him disappear.
We are. I am. I'm anticipating a relatively in the near future a dude pack opening session. He was able to find some Prism basketball and Donruss basketball.
Look at you.
So yeah,
All right, not too bad.
Nice.
Not
Fun.
Yeah, we love opening packs, and that's just I've said that's the one last bastion of bringing us together to where there's no like argue. Not
It's
that we
like
argue all the time, but
Christmas every day.
It's all fun in that. Yeah.
Well, the best part about it is that Bob is literally the opposite of kind of what we talk about a little bit, in the sense that a lot of his collecting is based on opening packs. So having the expensive pack opening era is like misery for Bob Lewis over there, because he's like, what is eBay? What is these buying singles?
Right.
Is that like from a pack? And I'm like, no, Bob, no.
So I did buy a like probably the most recent purchase of a single card that I knew it would not be attained through pack opening. We bought the Joe Burrow Prism rookie. So
Right.
That, because really, what are you going to buy? Blasters at $100 just in the hopes of no. So
No.
It seems like an easy transition to just buy the cards that you want rather than opening packs, but
It is.
Unfortunately.
What was the going rate on the Prism rookie for you?
so because I don't know if you've looked at a lot of those Prism from last year, but their centering has been a consistent issue from what
I've seen a little bit of that, yeah.
Yeah, this was a very nicely centered copy, so I might have paid up for it a little bit. I paid $108 for it. So
I don't think that's too bad. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
We'll see. Because like I said, I do watch, out of the sports, ironically, I don't collect much. I do watch a lot of football. I think Burrow's good. I think that team sucks, but I think Burrow's good. So
and that's you make a point there of like the team sucks, but he does not, like when I see him on the sideline, even after he throws a pick or something, he just seems calculating, like he wants to know why it happened, and I feel like he wants to make the adjustments for it to not happen or minimize it happening in the future. He's very calm, cool, and collected, methodical in his approach. We'll get to see a lot of them in the the division. He plays in our division, so
yeah.
I
think it's going to be interesting.
like
the unfortunate thing for him is that he agreed to play in Cincinnati, which is a mistake. So we'll see. Like they don't have much of a track record of building a good team.
No.
So we'll see, because it's one of those things. Like I said, I think he could be a very good quarterback, maybe a great quarterback. Hard to say. But if your line is no good and you get destroyed all the time, well, then you're not going to be very good. It doesn't matter whether you can potentially be any good or not. Now, if they're able to fix some of that, then we may be pleasantly surprised in the long run. I've grabbed a couple of Joe Burrow cards myself, kind of to the side, just to be like, okay, let's just see what happens. And I was able to get them super cheap. So I was like, great. If they're cheap enough, they can go in the box. I'm not going to look at them for a while.
Right. We've got some score. We've got our absolutes. Of those cards. So we got the lower end stuff, but we were able to acquire some optic blasters, which we in turn pulled the Justin Herbert rookie. So we figured if we got the Herbert optic, let's go for the Burrow Prism. Kind of made that decision for me. So that was the idea behind that. I don't know. Like, is it nowadays the idea of throwing $100 at a potential future stud quarterback? I remember I bought Daniel Jones the year before for $15. So,
well, here's what I'll say about this. The problem is it's all relative, and unfortunately, the inflated market has wrecked this, because Joe Burrow is I think and this is not hashtag invest advice. Don't take it as that. I will simply state what I believe, and then you do whatever the hell you want. That's your problem. So I give the caveats in advance. My caveat is this: I think he could be a good quarterback. I do think it's unfortunate that they're priced as high as they are out of the block, which makes it tricky. The good part is that he went down last year with injury, which meant it deflated his prices for a little while because he's out of sight, out of mind. That's the way that works. But in what I got to see, I liked what I saw. That's for me. That's my eye test evaluation. I liked what I saw. So if he's able to get some help, which it would behoove Cincinnati to get him some help, because I think he could be good if you get him the help he needs. Then this offseason is a buying opportunity. That is why I went myself and I put my money where my mouth was. And I said, at the depressed price point, I'm willing to take a stab at it. I didn't go as far as the Prism, but that's not a bad play. If that turns out to be correct, the Prism card is a great card. It really is. I looked at Mosaic. I looked at a couple of those ones. I looked at Phoenix because I like the product. I think it looks cool. So I went looking for that. And that was the direction I went. And I just want to get the numbers correct. Actually, I went and got a fair number comparatively. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like 8 or 9 burrows. So I grabbed a couple.
Funny, my dad ends up looking, he's retired. He looks up, he's on YouTube and he's getting inundated with all these videos that we tend to scoff at of offering us all investment advices of who to get. And he's like, every video I see, they're like autographed jersey or, RPAs essentially. He doesn't know that term, but he's like, that's what people are after in high grade. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not ready to spend a grand on Joe Burrow. So let's stick to just base rookie cards at this point.
But what's going to happen though, and by the way, this is even less investment advice, but this is more common sense. What happens is, let's say we're correct. Let's say he becomes a good player. They figure out some of it. The team plays well. And heaven forbid, the Cincinnati Bengals are a playoff capable team suddenly. Great. Awesome. Best case scenario for them. Great. So his price, skyrockets. It goes Dogecoin. It goes to the moon. Great. Okay. So the RPAs and all that go up first, but they go out of the stratosphere. Most collectors can't afford that, or even the investors who want to play in that game can't afford it either. So they got to move down a tier, down a tier, down a tier. Prism gets there, but then what happens is eventually that becomes too expensive, and then you start going to mosaics. Eventually you'll get down to scores in those ones because guess what? Again, mediocre quarterback, Tom Brady, but a score rookie and stuff is still reasonably valuable. That's an extreme example, but you take some of the other quarterbacks who are very good or great or Hall of Fame caliber who have those cards, they hold value too.
Even a Pat Mahomes score rookie's under $100.
So if the player is able to produce on the field and the hobby love comes with that, it will go down. It will get to score. Yeah. So it's you don't have to be at the top. Now here's where your advantage is. If that is your desire. An RPA would be ideal, of course, because then you buy one card and you potentially cash in and you do phenomenally well. But if you can't afford that, you go get some of these other ones. That's why I gave those examples. I said Mosaic, I went Phoenix, I went even Absolute. Absolute is about as cheap as it gets. The most I paid for a Joe Burrow card was $19. That was the maximum. I paid less than $20 for a card. I did not go above that.
The Absolute base rookies, they look pretty sharp. They got a nice shine.
They do look good.
I got it for $3. So it's hard. The worst case scenario is I lose $3. That's fine. That's okay. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But minimize your risk, right? Lower your price point, entry point. If you can get in low enough, well, then maybe it works out for you. Maybe it doesn't. Some of these cards, I could flip them now for more than I paid for them because I started so cheap. So I gave myself room to win. If you start high, then you'd better hit the lottery. Otherwise you lose. It's like that box we talked about earlier. Well, now you have to hit the home run. You don't have a choice. Just to make money, you have to hit a home run. Give yourself a chance with a single to at least make some money. And then if you do better, then it's even better.
Yeah. We like to pick up got first we like to open packs. If there's not an option to pull, certain guys, we don't have to get the best guys. I mean, we're happy when we pull Jordan Love rookie cards or Jake Fromm. They haven't really had their opportunity yet, but the potential's there, possibly.
The Jake Fromm, we'll see. Jordan Love, to be fair, we'll see as well, because I'll
Yeah.
see how Green Bay feels about that. If they manage to successfully get rid of Aaron, I kind of want them to divorce themselves from Aaron Rodgers, because I think it'd be kind of funny to see what happens. I think it'd be
Yeah.
hilarious. Like at
But,
this point, it's not going to work. Like that marriage doesn't work anymore. Like it doesn't. It hasn't worked in a while.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, go your separate ways. Let's get some entertainment out of this. Let me at least be amused.
Well, geez, as a Steeler fan, we're kind of right there. I mean, Ben has been good to us, franchise type of quarterback, that, generational type of quarterback. But me personally, ready to move on. I don't think Mason Rudolph's the answer. I don't think Josh Dobbs or Dwayne Haskins are the answers, but
Is it too late to get Tommy Maddox back?
probably.
Damn.
He had too much garbage thrown on his front yard, like after every Sunday. So.
Listen, you will respect XFL champion, only XFL champion, because they didn't finish that other season. Only XFL champion Tommy Maddox, sir. You will respect this man.
Better than Kent Graham, I will say that.
Well, this went better than everybody you got, other than Roethlisberger. Like, I'm sorry, I would still take Tommy Maddox. And Tommy Maddox has a championship, okay? You may not like it, but it is a championship. He's got one.
Cordell Stewart was he made some waves early on, but just
Sure.
they people will forever debate about how they used him and yeah. Oh well.
No, that's fair. That is fair. But I will say, and sorry, name. I know you had your comment here a little while ago. I left it on the screen because I was going to get back to it, but I was having a little bit of fun. So you work out so you can eat good. Correct.
Correct.
That's what you got to do. I agree with you.
Correct.
Sounds good. So actually, name. I'm gonna have a little fun. We're not gonna extend it too far. We're having some fun. Bob Job has joined us, which has been fun. We'll hang out for a little bit longer, but let me ask you a question. I know I mentioned it earlier, and we'll formally come up with a day where I'll get you to come on for an episode and hang out formally. But are you still around? First question. And secondly, would you like to pop on for a couple of minutes? Not for like a long, but for a little bit. Do you want to pop in for a little bit and hang out? You're more than welcome. Otherwise, we'll come up with a separate day, and then you can come on kind of from the beginning or earlier on in the episode. But if you want to make a debut and pop on for a couple of minutes, you're more than welcome to. Just let me know, and I can send you a link. So I'm just putting it out there if you're around. So I'll include Paul's comment here, back and to the left. Exactly. I think that was a reference to like the dude cameo appearance. But we'll see.
Yes.
We'll see. I'm looking forward to this NFL season just because I'm curious about a lot of these things. Because I think from the Packers standpoint, like I would just like to see a change. And it's not because I don't think Aaron Rodgers could get the job done. I think he can, but I think the team has got to be configured in such and such a way where it works. It's very specific. As much as I like to make fun of Tom Brady, and I do. Look, the reason why he won the Super Bowl was because of the team he was on. It was the correct team, the correct composition of players to work with the skill set he currently has. That is it. If he was with a different team, he doesn't win the Super Bowl. Full stop. Sorry. Sorry, Brady fanboys, live with it. He wouldn't win the Super Bowl with a different composition of team. It was a good composition of team for his skill set and for his ability. He had the right combination of offense and defensive players. That defense was great. They had offensive talent. Yes, absolutely. So it's not, he got to walk in on a pretty good situation, and obviously he's smart enough to know what to do with it, so I'll give him his credit. But it was the right situation. It's the right time, right place, right situation. And he got a little bit lucky too. I watched those games. He got a little bit lucky too. And you need that as well. It all has to come together. With Rodgers at this point, Rodgers and Green Bay are on different pages, and they've been on different pages for years. So it's one of those things where like, they got to the NFC Championship 2 years in a row, and they probably had no business getting there. And it makes it look better than it is. It's like, actually, this team, the talent seems okay, but the mix is not good. The mix isn't right. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work together. On a different team, I think Rodgers would do better, and the Packers probably need to move on and find whatever guy they like that will fit whatever there is they're trying to do. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But they need somebody else. I don't think Jordan Love's the answer, by the way. I have grabbed some Jordan Love cards just because I'm like, all right, just on the off chance, I would love to see a decent. I just don't know if he's any good. I have nothing to base it on. I don't know.
Nobody knows. He hasn't played.
Yeah, but he's not. A guy who has a track record in college to indicate, oh yeah, he's going to be a stud.
Yeah, he's a total
Maybe-
unknown.
Maybe
Total
he'd be all
unknown.
right. But I genuinely don't.
Yeah.
I got nothing. So I'll grab Name's
So-
comment here. Yeah, he's out walking, otherwise he would. No, and I want to include this comment. That's how dedicated I am. I listen while I'm out and use my data. Well, Name, you're a champion. Well played by you, sir. Well played by you. Appreciate you. No, that's fine. It's all good. It's all good. We'll catch you next time. 2 weeks in a row, I had to ban you from New England. So if I'm banned twice, does that mean I'm unbanned? Is it like two negatives make a positive? Does that mean I am now unbanned? I'm just curious. Like, we got to work out the math permutations of this because does that mean I'm double banned? Is that like double secret probation? Because I'm okay with that.
Toga.
Can I get triple banned? I think I can. I think I can.
Then you're just back to being banned again.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
If I'm double banned.
unbanned, banned, unbanned. It's like the rubber band.
Well, now
Back, you're out.
Now this is starting to remind me. From the way it works in my family, because it used to be an annual. By annual, I mean monthly tradition where I would get disowned. That's usually the way it worked at the house. I was getting constantly disowned. Usually, my mom would disown me, and I'd be like, I lose nothing in this exchange. Disown me as many times as you see fit.
And what were you being disowned for, Carlos?
My younger brother Roberto is the good son. I'm the other guy.
Okay. I got you.
I don't feel like I need to explain more than that. Like, I feel my
Understood.
track record has been very clear on this issue.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah. Just saying. My younger brother's the good son. I'm the other guy.
Yeah. I got the good sister and I'm the other guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Forced to go to New England, wear a Tom Brady jersey. That's a situation where it might be like the monk where I just light myself on fire just to burn the jersey. It's the right thing to do. We'll find out next week if you don't change your behavior. The likelihood of me changing my behavior is the same likelihood of Tom Brady making a competent athletic play. 0. Bless you, Sanderson Door. Thank you. I need it.
Who's hitting the most home runs right now? Who's got the most homers?
Wasn't it still Acuna? Or has it changed?
Acuna?
Yeah, I think so. Acuna's off to a hard start. Like I saw a graphic. Like he's killing it right now. It was funny because I guess I should have realized because I immediately got an offer on an Acuna rookie I had on ComC. I'm trying to divest myself of the cards, so I said I had a couple of cards on there. I go, okay, let me put a couple of cards up for sale because I want to collect enough credit to be able to take the last of the cards. I want to do one more batch load and send the stuff my way to clear the account. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to put more money into this. So let me sell a couple of the cards I have on here, get some credit, and then send me the cards that way. But I got an offer on the Acuna right away. It had been there for a while, and suddenly, all of a sudden, there was a great interest in the Acuna card. I'm like, huh, interesting. And then I went and looked at his stats. I was like, that makes sense.
How many does he have?
Home runs? I think
Yeah.
it was 7. I think it was
Okay.
7.
I think he has 8 now.
Is it 8 now? Okay, just checking
I
right
do.
now. No, Acuna is still 7, at least according to MLB.com. But he is leading the league in RBIs as well. And he's up there in average too. Checking. Yeah, he's
Good
got
for him.
429 average. That's good. Pretty
I got a
good.
couple of his cards. I like them.
Well, the thing is that
He's flashy.
the card that I sold was the Bowman Best, which doesn't get a lot of love. I like the Bowman Best
No.
cards, but they don't get a lot of love. But I've got his top. But it was funny because the Acuna went off. I love that Bob just decided to slap his phone. That'll teach it. Bob will not tolerate it. Since,
Oh my goodness. Come on.
will not tolerate it. But I was going to say, with all the stats and everything that he's going off on, great average, hitting home runs, hitting RBIs, awesome, doing very well. But I will say that one of the consequences of it is that the Bowman Best card, like I said, doesn't get a lot of love. But I've got the Topps Chrome still sitting around. And the Topps Chrome has been appreciating very well. I'm hanging on to that one for a bit because
I'd hang on to that one.
Yeah, but the Bowman
So-
Best, I've got an extra. So I sold one, but I've got another one. So
Which one?
There you
Which
go.
Topps Chrome is the one? Is it the update Chrome or the base Chrome that is getting the more attention?
I think they're both getting some attention. Let me see if I can find the difference here for you.
It ain't.
But it's a
isn't-
valid question.
It hasn't
is.
been much either way, but
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can look up the Chrome here. See if I can find some comps.
I think I gave everybody the munchies.
I think I saw the
Mhm.
bat.
Hey, listen, it's late. People are hungry. What do you want, Bobby? Listen, they
think I
can't
saw
all
that.
have their arrow bar. They all got to get what they need. You know?
That's right.
They can't get an arrow bar. Sorry, it's only in Canada, like Red Rose tea or something.
Okay, so let me see. So let me do a straight comparison, okay? We'll do PSA 10s on both just to do a comparison side by side. So the Chrome update, and I'll show it to you guys as well, just so you can see it, just so we have full disclosure here, and you guys can see it as well. I'll expand it here to make it visible. Here we go. Okay, so there is your Chrome update. Chrome update PSA 10 Acuna. So showing current value $201. Okay, so that's the Chrome update.
It's the
Acuna.
other one. Yeah.
Yeah, so now we'll take a look at the other one. So that should be
The other one's a more expensive one. Yeah.
this one here. That's refractor. Let me make sure I get the base card. It's PSA 9. Okay, let me click on this and switch to the 10. There we go. Yeah, 387 for the base.
Wow. Wow.
And
Yeah, so this is the one I have. I have a raw copy, not graded already. I wish I had graded, but I didn't have time. But that is a Pop 7300, so it's not scarce by any stretch of the imagination. But pushing $400, it's pretty solid. It's pretty good. And obviously-
2018, good looking cards.
yeah, and obviously, if you can look here, you can see it's had itself a little boost recently.
Yes.
Because if we go back, so right now this is all time, but let's go just a couple of weeks. So you could have had it for about sub $300 earlier this month. Let's go back a little bit further. Let's go 3 months. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you could have had it for under $200 back in February. Now it's pushing $400. That's pretty good. I will say that baseball does not have the explosive growth of like a basketball, so it's not going to be comparable at all. If a basketball player was doing what Acuna is doing in basketball, trust me, it would be madness.
I mean, his bat down though is
Oh,
that
yes.
has seen significant. If you get the right card, I think you'll see those significant increases.
Well, that's a short print. We know like that is a super short, and people love that card. Like it's been a thing with those guys.
Yep.
So let me just look at the bat down here. I'll check it real quick.
I really like the way Topps has done their short prints. It's super short prints. I think they've done a really good job with that stuff.
I agree. I like that.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna like the bat down. You're gonna like the graph on the bat
Oh
down.
yeah. Here we go.
All right, so here we go. Hold on.
This is his card. This is the one.
Look at that graph. So just shy of 5,000.
Yeah. That's the
I saw
card.
A PSA 8 sold for $600. So
Wow.
Yeah, that'll do. That'll do, I suppose.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't have that one. I've got a couple. I've got 110 and a couple nines of the flagship of the paper.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, look, if we were, and we joke about it a million times, but look, if we were more investor speculators, you would have stocked up on that. I grabbed a couple of Acuna cards because I was like, okay, I'm not ignorant of the fact that the guy has talent, but I am a collector. Here's my problem. My problem is that I'm a collector. So I spend money predominantly on my collection. Most of my money gets allocated towards my collecting pursuits. If I wasn't wasting my money buying these ridiculous Medanos that don't get me any value, that I don't sell, then I could do something like buy more Acunas and I'd be making some money.
Yeah.
But like, it is what it. I don't have enough money to do both. I can't, because on a lot of those you have to sit on them for a little while. It can't be like I can't buy it and then flip it like 20 minutes later. Like I don't have that luxury. But I definitely grabbed a couple of Acunas. Like I said, I grabbed that Topps Chrome. I got the Topps Chrome for less than $30.
Nice.
So it's like I'm already doing okay. Like I'm doing fine right now. Anything that goes from here is gravy. So I'm pretty happy with it. But obviously, if you want it to be a smart investor, well, then you buy 10, especially if you can get it for like $30, you buy 10, and then you're laughing at this point. You send a couple in for grading, you wait however long, and you laugh.
You buy 5 and you invest the rest in Dogecoin.
Well, that's an entirely different conversation. Now you're talking some 4D chess, Bob. Now you're talking some serious 4D chess.
I know.
Well, I'm going to pack it in, guys, because I got to get up early tomorrow.
No worries.
All right.
I was going to go to 1 o'clock, but 1:08 it's even better. There you go.
No, I think we're good. I think we'll start winding her down as well. So that sounds good. Take it
Hi,
easy,
Brian,
Bobby.
Bob. Hi,
Good night,
girls.
Bobby.
Have a good night, guys. In
Yep,
the
take care,
bullpen.
buddy.
Sounds
Take
good.
care.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Sounds good. So I think we will start winding it down as well.
Yeah.
What we'll do, though, is if there's any last moment comments, guys, any last burning thoughts that you want to get out there, we definitely can. Otherwise, we'll call it an evening.
You guys watching any basketball?
What is this basketball?
It's about a 90-foot court. They dribble up and down with this orange ball.
Is this the sport with the tall guys?
The tall guys, yes. The tall guys, yes.
Ah, yes. The sport
Every
with
once
the
in a
tall
while,
guys.
they really put it through the rim really hard.
Squeak, squeak, squish. That thing? Squeak, squeak,
Yes,
squish.
squeak,
That
squeak.
thing?
Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
Step back, Euro
I
step.
try to sell basketball. That's about all I do.
I laugh because when I would pick up the odd basketball card, so the same way I keep account on the Medanos, I have like account for unique basketball cards in my collection. It's up to 5.
Oh.
5 unique basketball cards in my collection.
What are these famous
All
cards?
right. So hold on. I've got Vince Carter Topps Finest Rookie. I've got
Very
a PSA
nice.
9, obviously, Toronto Raptor connection.
Vinsanity.
I picked one up back in the day. I picked up a Tracy McGrady 97, I want to say, Topps Finest Rookie. And that is because back in the day, I bought a handful of packs of Topps Finest, and I actually pulled a McGrady back then. So I decided I would get another one because I sold it back in the day, years ago. But I figured I would pick one up and sell. I have them in the box. I don't pay too much attention to them, but that works out. So that's 2. I have a LeBron optic insert. The name escapes me. I think it's the countdown one. T minus. That's what it is.
T minus.
I thought it was a cool looking card. It's got like a refractor shine on it. I saw it in a couple of places. I thought it was kind of cool. To be honest, I overpaid for it, but it was a cool card. Like I paid $20. When I say overpaid, I mean I paid $20. So it's not so bad.
Right. Yeah.
I've at that price point, we're okay for basketball, especially at that point. That's a pittance. That's nothing.
Yeah.
I have a Tim Duncan SPX rookie that I bought for the princely sum of $5.
Nice.
So
Nice.
$1 per championship. That's decent.
It's a nice card. Great
That's
set.
decent. That's
Yeah,
all
great
right.
set. Yeah.
That's all right. And I have the Skybox, the one with the bronze borders. I have the Skybox Jordan card that for a brief cup of coffee had a great, large, had a great
Price jump.
Yeah, during the Last Dance. And that one I bought raw on ComC for the princely sum of $3. So what you'll notice is when I'm saying a lot of these cards, I bought them cheap as hell.
Yeah.
And that's the key. I didn't spend a lot of money on something that was more of a novelty for me, just something for fun.
Yeah.
Now you
That's
still
okay.
have this. You still have your one Jordan card.
I have my one Jordan card. Yes.
Excellent. Well, you better hold on to it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hold on to your one Jordan.
I guard it. I guard it preciously. It's right there beside the '88 Donruss Greg Jeffries, right on that tier. They're like right there with each other. Right there.
I got some Greg Jeffries, boy. Don't get me started on Greg Jeffries.
Yeah.
My
I got
God,
a
that
nice
guy was
Jordan
everywhere.
coming.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I figured I'd have a Jordan card. And I actually, if you look at the Skybox card, it's a neat looking card. It's a cheap
it is.
card, and it should be a cheap card. It's produced into oblivion. Like, it's not a rare card. But if you're going to buy it cheap. And by the way, I could have bought it even cheaper, except the Last Dance bolstered the price. That's why I paid the princely sum of $3. Okay, look, that's as far as it should go. Okay,
It's worth more than $3 today.
probably. Yeah,
You bet.
yeah. So it's like I did okay. It's fine. I did all right.
Cool.
Yeah. So you were saying you had some Jordans there, Bob? You pull them from packs, I assume. The thing is,
Yeah.
Actually,
go ahead.
right. This was a 95 Skybox Emotion Intense Jordan.
Those were cool. The Skybox I liked. I thought they were interesting for what they were.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap. I mean,
Sure.
I paid $250 for it, and that was a fair price. They do tend to sell for, closer to three and a little bit over three on eBay. So I got a friend deal.
Yep.
But I don't. I had offloaded all of my both of my 92 Beam Team Jordans.
Mm.
So I wanted to kind of replace a shiny Jordan with a shiny Jordan, and this was a little bit more in my price range at the time, so I jumped on it.
That's fair.
Nice
So
card.
let me do this, guys. I'll read the last couple of comments. We'll have one more little quick thought. We'll have a quick thought on one thing I'll bring up directly pertaining to what we just talked about. So we'll finish on that. I'll log off. I'll probably chat with a couple of these gentlemen for a couple of minutes and we'll call it a night, but then we'll run it down. Thanks to those of you hanging out, by the way, in the chat. You've been awesome. Appreciate your questions and comments as always.
Definitely.
Appreciate you. And I'll also say thank you to Brian for popping on. Thank you for Bob popping on. Thank you for Bobby for popping on at the beginning as well. Always appreciate when folks come on. Sunday will be open link. So whoever wants to pop on can. They're more than welcome. It's an open invitation. Whoever wishes to take it, I will monitor.
Let's get some new. Can I encourage out there any of those viewers to that haven't been on to pop on? I mean, we're very accommodating. You know what I mean? Like this.
We don't
Yeah.
bite. We don't bite. Bob might.
No.
Bob might.
Should not be an intimidating environment whatsoever. We want to hear some different opinions.
It's always been intended. Like I think some people don't take it serious. It's like, no, guys, I really mean it. Now, I will have a leash on people. Maybe to keep it to like a 3-drink minimum or maximum.
This is true.
Maximum.
Maximum. That's the word you're looking for. Yes.
No, I started off with one, but it's or maximum.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion. A suggestion.
If it takes you 3 drinks to kind of get into that, comfortable zone of participating and having it back and forth, great.
That's fine.
More than that, we're gonna keep an eye on you.
Well, the thing is, I know the bouncer, and he's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, I met him. He's a jerk.
I know for a fact. Okay, so real quick, I'll grab the comments because I love the last one here. Hold on. So we have watched Sunday. Very good. Be interested to get opinions on the PSA State Registry. Sure. Sanderson or that's a good topic. We'll touch on it.
It is.
So on Sunday, if we get a chance, I'll make a note of it. We'll touch on it. So great show. Thank you, Name. Appreciate you. Okay, so this one's good. So this is my old buddy from university, the Ogs. Mr. Ogilvy, of course it's the 3-drink max you're out. We'll talk about that offline. I love that he shows up right at the end when I talk about a 3-drink max. It's like, really, this is where you come in. I got stories. I got stories about the Oaks. We'll talk about that.
Okay, you got
Ogilvy,
stories.
listen,
All right.
I'll send you a link. You can join offline. I'll let you join the after party. All right, so we're done for the evening. I'll let the Oaks have the last word. 3-drink max, he's out. Of course he is. Anyway, so thank you all for participating. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for joining in. We'll be back on Sunday. I've had it streaming. I've had it scrolling across the bottom. It'll be 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Sundays, I do have more of a hard line on the finish. Fridays, we can go a little bit longer. It's all good. It's fine. But on Sunday, got to kill it because we got the early Monday start. So we got to be fair. Folks on the West Coast, well, you get to have it after dinner time. So you get a little bit of an earlier start. It is what it is. We try to work with everybody, but we got to do what we got to do. Anyway, so that's it for us. Have yourselves a good evening. Have yourselves a good weekend. And we will catch you on Sunday.
See you guys.